voice of Africa, bring a change. Be the voice of Africa, speak the voice of Africa, sing a song of Africa for a change.
Yeah, African Union, hey you, listen there, young some, African Union, hey you, listen there, young boom. If we are to rise, we got to do it right. Africa!
People no tem ne kasa. Nefa wo ho fa me ho fa no ho fa mo ho say ye na Africa. Yeso mi si mani nyina. Ye ka ne hye mani nyinya. No konfo boni si kromo na timbi na wo hu no aka hwe gese wa.
Oh, Africa. Things will be better if we work together. Africa, deka wo me.
Of Africa, sing the song of Africa for a change.
Those are the entertainment.
That you believe that every now we in the world, we shall be together. It's one. And I know the Lord, Mama Africa. Together.
Thank you so much, Sam, for that. I think you can now begin for us the official
In the first
African
8
Union
months of the school games, we've been able to help 11 other entrepreneurs to win and travel to Las Vegas as well. Take Patrice Moore, for example, a copywriting expert. She went from zero to over $29,000 per month in just 30 days with only 900 YouTube subscribers. She won the school games and got invited to Vegas as well. Or Jesper, who teaches Google Ads for dropshipping businesses. He grew his school community from zero to over $35,000 per month in just 30 days with just 2,500 YouTube subscribers. He also won the school games. And finally, Faroon, who helps international students land UK jobs. He went from being in debt with no audience to building a school community that now makes over $64,000 per month, and he did that in just 30 days. He placed number 3 in the school games and also got invited to Las Vegas to meet Hormozi. So my point is
So thank you so much, everybody, for joining the call at the right time. I think others are going to be joining as we continue. I want
take
us to
Zach, for
begin our
example,
meeting
who generated $2,000 in monthly
African
recurring
Union
revenue
anthem.
and $14,000 in high-ticket sales in just
So Sam,
30
you
days.
can
Or
kindly
Sebastian,
skip
who
that
got over
ad.
4.2 million views on
Let us all unite and celebrate together the victories won for our liberation. Let us dedicate ourselves to rise together to defend our liberty and unity. All sons and daughters of Africa, flesh of the sun and flesh of the sky, let us make Africa a tree of life. Let us all unite and sing together to uphold the bonds that frame our destiny. Let us dedicate ourselves to fight together for lasting peace and justice on earth. All sons and daughters of Africa, flesh of the sun and flesh of the sky, let us make Africa the tree of life. Let us all unite and join together to give the best we have to Africa, the cradle of mankind, the font of culture, our pride and hope at break of dawn. All sons and daughters of Africa, flesh of the sun and flesh of the sky, let us make Africa the tree of life.
Home
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sam, for that. So I think that is the way we always begin our every meeting we have in Africa Digital Inclusion Alliance. As always, start with the African Union anthem. So it's a prayer, it's a request, and it's also an advocacy that let us also always stand with Africa, even in our professional pursuit, in our businesses, in our organizations. Let's already put in our minds, in our hearts, in our aspirations that Africa is in need of you in whatever circumstances, in any way that you do, in everything that you do. There is part of Africa that is crying for you to act. So thank you so much for joining the call this hour, this day. I know yesterday we had a very good session. I think all of us had an opportunity to learn, to grow, to get to know something new, to get to interact with somebody from a different part of Africa, to give us new insight on something that at least, even if you knew about it, but you knew more and more, you grew more and more. So before I do the welcomings, before we go to the first session that we have today, I want to welcome everybody from every part of the continent. Yeah. So you say your name, your country, and if you were there yesterday, you simply say, what did you learn? Yeah, what do you look forward to? So there is your name, your country. What did you learn yesterday? Yeah, what do you look forward to today? So I think I'll start with the western part of the continent. I'll start with the western part of the continent. Kindly, if you're able to, so I'm going to start with the western part of Africa. I can see Dr. Fanan Abigail Gire from Benue State, Nigeria. Kindly, if you can unmute, just go ahead and greet us from Nigeria. Now, there's the western part of Africa. Doctor, are you there? Dr. Fanan? Yeah, so because I saw you had you had greeted us in the chat box, say that greetings from Dr. Fanan Abigail Gire from Benue State in Nigeria. Thank you so much for joining us. We wanted to get somebody from Nigeria. Amuge, which part of the continent are you coming from? Okay, please go ahead. Go ahead. Okot, please. Robert, please go ahead. Okay, I wanted somebody from the western part of the continent. Amuga, are you there? Which part of continent are you coming from? Okay, it seems our people from the northern part of Africa, southwestern part of Africa is not very active. Yeah, but we want to get to hear from one of you guys, and at least share with us what you learned yesterday and your expectation today and your name and your country. But all in the same, we are going to be continuing. So let me go to the central part. No, that's not central, but eastern part of Africa. So the eastern part of Africa, I'll go to Kenya. There's somebody who has been, Alan Francis Oloya. I saw you are very active. Please go ahead and introduce yourself. Are you there, Alan? It seems you guys are very silent today. Yeah. I wanted to get to hear from one of you guys from anybody who can volunteer from the eastern part of Africa. You guys are so many here. Patrick, please say hi. At least even if you're not presenting, but say hi, Mr. Patrick.
Hello, Victor. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to day 2 of the conference.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, so at least we get voices from different part of the country. It's very powerful for the sake of this conference. Let me go to the southern part of Africa. So I didn't want to take from speakers, but I'll just take one from Mr. Collins. But there's somebody who has raised his hand. Okay, please go ahead. There's an accident. Yeah, please. Also, if you've not communicated, you can introduce yourself in the chat box. In the chat box section, Mr. Skate, please go ahead. I can see somebody raise their hand and they take it down quickly. Onward, please go ahead. Yes.
How are you, Victor?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm so good to just being curious for this second session, trying to learn and unlearn some things.
Definitely, that is it. Yeah. Thank you so much for that. Thank you. So I think we are going to be on it without taking so much time. So I think yesterday was a very breathtaking learning, growth, and every word that you can possibly give it. But if you have any comment that you can make specifically, we're going to open the floor for anybody who feel like there's something that you want to say about the sessions yesterday before we go to the next session. Please, you can go ahead and raise up your hand so that I can give you opportunity, a 1 minute opportunity to share what you learned yesterday and what stood out for you.
Hello, Aviko.
Yes, please go ahead. Yes.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Thank you. My name is Jonah Yalumano. I'm a disability advocate, and I'm a media personnel. Yeah. I think there was a presentation from Uganda whereby when we analyze on the level of illiteracy and the challenges faced in technology. Yeah. I think are we together?
Yes, we are getting you.
Oh, okay. Yes. So now, basically, on the interest and the access to technology, I think the challenges are the same in Africa, be it in rural and the high levels of illiteracy and the highest marginalized groups not having access to devices that are in connection with the advanced technology. So now I was thinking that maybe going forward in Africa, especially in the rural parts where education is concerned, mostly schools are very far. Maybe the nearest could be 10 kilometers and the learners have to walk. And the worst is still for persons with disabilities, it's worse because they just have to be kept at home. So now, since these technologies are being promoted, there is need now to start advocating for more schools to be constructed near, or maybe each African government to come up with a policy of every 5 kilometers, you build a school.
Okay.
Every 5 kilometers, you build a school.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for that.
This will lessen the challenges and also maybe infrastructure in the areas of communication towers to be also enhanced. And then that illiteracy level will come down. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jonah. That is a very excellent presentation there, because I feel like yesterday's session on introduction of digital inclusion and digital equity was really opening us up to a lot of understanding.
Okay, if they can mute.
Yeah, sorry for that. There was a lot of background noises coming from different places. I was saying that the presentation we had yesterday about understanding digital inclusion and digital equity in Africa was very eye-opening in terms of what we really need to do, not just to ours, because there's a big gap between urban and rural that even bigger than the gender, bigger than everything. So I think that is a very important area we have to consider, and particularly for the people with disability in regards to the proximity they are having to the schools and all that they have to do. So thank you so much for highlighting that. I think I don't want to take more time. I want us to, I don't know if there's any other comment, but I want us to go straight to the first session today. And our session today was to look at the presentation from Mr. Anthony Ibanga from Nigeria, who was to give us understanding the device ecosystem in Africa, and also to give us an understanding of how the device system flows. And unfortunately, Mr. Ibanga is not going to join us, unfortunately, due to some emergency issues. But I think as digital inclusion practitioners, it's very important for us to put in place and get to understand this place of digital devices in our society. And I want us to take a very few minutes to flash back and have a very common discussion. Yeah, it's just going to be more. I just want to give everybody an opportunity, not everybody, but 2 or 3 people, an opportunity to give us what is the state of digital devices in their country. Yeah, is it a phone, a laptop, is it desktop computers, both at institutional level?
Yeah.
Yeah, please. I'm very sorry for the unmuting. Some people are not just joining without that. So I was saying that I want to give 2 people an opportunity to share their experiences or their thoughts in regards to the access to digital devices in various parts of their country. So, for example, the issue of phone access, then we have the laptops, then you have the desktop computers, then you have the complementaries to this device. For example, somebody with disability might not just need a phone. These phones with different features are going to be important for him or her. Yeah. Somebody who also might be in need of a laptop cannot just use a laptop alone. We might use a earphone or other ways. Or like now we want to be using what? We want to be making sure that we are going to be using um, the captions here so that everybody who is disabled is able to see and able to read through. So I want us to just to get to this. Just want 2 people who can raise their hands, and from there they make that comment. Then we jump off to the first panel discussion that is going to be bringing people of disability, digital inclusion as an empowerment tool for persons with disability. So anybody can raise their hand. Kindly, I'm going to give it an open call to anybody who feel that the gap in the digital device area is very critical to be addressed. Or you can make a comment in the chat box that I'm able to read it through. What your thoughts on the state of it, the gaps you feel are there, or the challenges, and what can be done. Yeah, particularly in your nation or in Africa at a context.
From here. Something added the make them talk to. Ba su zo su yi aiki lokacin da ya kamata ba. Da su zo, ran da ana signing time sheet, kowa ya zauna yana damin mu.
Yes, please. I'm giving everybody a chance to think around this one. And if you have a comment, kindly you can make it up and bring it about. Okay, it seems people are not, since today is too silent. Today seems not to be a very interactive kind of meeting in terms of being conversational, but I think we are still going to be making sure that everybody at least is contributing and is able to bring thoughts and everything that is needed here. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to welcome, I don't know if Miss Beatrice is already here with us. Beatrice Mutale is already here with us. Just want to introduce the first session, that is now the disability space. But I want us to be very active. Today I want us to ask as many questions as possible. And let's ask as many questions as possible. Then let's have a opportunity to stand and like note everything that is, because I know issue of disability and digital inclusion is very critical for us to understand and to move within a way that is going to be helping our society. So is Miss Beatrice there? Please unmute and please unmute and I just go ahead. Beatrice, are you there kindly? I want you to take up the next session, first session. Beatrice, kindly. Are you there? Yeah, the time that was written there is not very clear. Is not in line with the decision we had to do now. Yes, I want you just to have a look at our schedule that was earlier so that you're able to be in line. Beatrice, we can't get you, please. Beatrice, we can't get you. Beatrice, are you there kindly?
Hello, Victor.
We've been calling you. Are you there?
Hello, Victor.
Yes, we are getting you. I'm getting you.
You are getting me now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Hello?
Yeah, please. Hello, we are getting you. Please go ahead.
Okay. It's our session now?
Yes.
Okay. Welcome to Africa Digital Inclusion Conference 2024. Let me take this opportunity and express my gratitude to our founder, Victor, and the entire executive committee for organizing this very educative conference. I'm incredibly proud of you. Allow me also to welcome the participants to this interesting and provoking session. But before I go in further, let me start by introducing myself. I am Beatrice Mutare from Zambia. I'm one of the executive members from ADA. I'm the chairperson for Africa Digital Chamber of Marginalizing Groups Inclusion. I'm also an inclusive education senior lecturer, gender and disability rights activist. You want to hear more? Beatrice Mutale is Vila Vara woman, a woman of proverb, a woman of substance. Yes, I am tall and not too fat. I am brown in complexion. Let me simply say I am beautiful. You are welcome. Yes, allow me now to introduce my panelists. Yes, today it's a very interesting session, as I've already alluded to. I have 3 panelists, and these are very powerful leaders. With me, allowed to introduce the first panelist. Please bear with me. Yeah, pronunciation, when it comes to pronunciation, forget about pronunciation. We'll meet in spelling. Yes. Let me first introduce the first panelist, Evie Kibere, a founder of Brown Girl Experience from Kenya. You are welcome, Madam Evie Kibere. Madam Kibere?
Thank you very much. Yes, my name
Yes.
is Eve Kibari from Kenya.
All right. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. The second on the panelists, I have Fasola Mutahari from Nigeria, a financial analyst, community development, and the disability inclusion advocate. You are welcome, Fasola. Hello? Fasola? Hello?
Fasola is yet to join. I think if Michael is around, I think
Okay.
I don't know if
Okay.
Michael is also around. Fasola is joining currently. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. The third on the panelists I have, this is not other than my colleague, Michael Miro from Uganda, disability and social inclusion specialist. You are welcome, Michael.
Michael is also in.
Michael?
Yeah, it seems Michael is not yet also in. So I don't know what is happening with this. I thought that they were to join as early as possible. But we are working on that, please. Kindly bear with us. So you can just
sure
go.
he's trying to join because I've seen the message here. I'm sure he's trying to join. Okay. So should we proceed or wait for them?
Please proceed. We don't have any other time again. We don't have any other time. This is the only time they had. So we're going to just go that way. And if they join us early, they to go that way. Please go ahead.
All right. All right. Okay. Today's topic is on digital inclusion as empowerment tool for persons with disabilities. Digital inclusion as empowerment tool for persons with disabilities. It is important first and foremost to understand that digital inclusion is the activity that promotes the use of ICT by everyone. And digital inclusion is anchored on 6 key pillars. That is digital skills, device access, internet access, technical support provision, supportive policy frameworks, and marginalized groups inclusion. All these are fused together in meeting the goal of digital inclusion. Ladies and gentlemen, it is this time that I have these panelists want to learn one or two things from them. My question, Madam Eve Kibare, why do you think digital inclusion is the best tool for empowerment to persons with disabilities? Why do you think digital inclusion is the best tool for empowerment to persons with disabilities? Or why is it essential for persons with disabilities? Over to you, Madam Eve.
Thank you very much, Madam. I'm really grateful to be here. And yes, it's another year, another time to be able to have important conversations with regards to digital inclusions and with persons with disabilities. Why I think it is essential and an important tool, why digital inclusion is an empowerment tool for persons with disability is, for me, I lost my sight 4 years ago. I was sighted for more than 30 years, and I was an undisabled person. I was fighting different battles. But then, having lost my sight 4 years ago, I realized I went to rehabilitation and I was forced to use Braille. And I'm asking the trainers, why am I using Braille? Because who will I communicate to with Braille? I can't write if I'm going to look for a job. Are the non-disabled people proficient with Braille? And will my classmates understand my Braille notes? So Braille is very personal. It's an entirely new language. But with assistive technology, which is part of digital inclusion, has enabled me to be able to access information even without sight. I'm able to use my phone because of having a screen reader, which is an accessibility feature in my phone. I'm also able to read documents that people send to me. I don't have to learn a whole entirely new language like Braille to be able to communicate and even associate with other people from different people who are non-disabled or people who can see. So I feel like that is one thing that it does. It connects you to the world. It doesn't disconnect you. It connects you to the world. And before, it was Braille would exclude in a way. Very few people know Braille. Very few people who are non-disabled or people who are not visually impaired will learn Braille because it's not necessary for them. Braille is only necessary for the blind person. But now with digital inclusion and the digitization and assistive technology, people who've lost their sight can still be able to access information and even communicate because of assistive technology and also adaptive technology. You can once you have a screen reader access uploaded on your laptop, you can use it to also write your own Word documents, create Excel, PowerPoints, presentations. It helps. Another thing is also through digital technology, it has made communication much, much more easier. I mean, people with dyslexia or dysphoria, different cognitive disabilities, and also visual disabilities, they're able to connect with one another through voice notes, because now you're not forced to type. You can be able to just send in a voice note to another person and they will understand what you're trying to say. And now WhatsApp has also included video notes. And you'll find even on X, and sometimes I think Facebook has allowed voice notes, voice messages. X has also allowed audio notes. Even instant messaging from iPhone allows you to send audio notes. That is because of that inclusion of understanding that persons with disabilities, people with various disabilities, not necessarily just visual impairment, can be able to communicate with one another without having to strain to type. Another reason I feel like digital inclusion is important for persons with disability, it also, you are able to access information. For example, I started with the idea of Braille. How many storybooks or novels have been written in Braille? So imagine how much information, entertainment, people who are blind are missing out on because they cannot access it in Braille. But now with adaptive technology, there's audiobooks. People now can listen to audiobooks and understand and enjoy the story. And us Africans came from a point, we came from an era of oral literature. We passed down information orally from your grandparents. You sit around in a circle. When you go visit your grandparents, they would tell you stories. That is how information was passed. So when they introduced the formal westernized education is when they decided that we need to read and write. So now audiobooks has enabled, and podcasts have enabled us to access information and enjoy books and enjoy literature through listening. So that is my contribution to that question. I hope I've answered you well.
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much that digital inclusion has created employment opportunities and increased social participation through interaction on social media. That's what you have said. Thank you so much. Is Michael in the house? Not yet.
Not yet, I think. Not yet. Please just continue.
Okay. In many cases, you realize that most of persons' abilities encounter challenges in accessing internet, website, and other digital platforms. Why? And why is the gap, Madam Eve? Have you also encountered challenges in accessing network, website? Why and where is the gap?
I feel like, to be honest, people with disability do face that gap because we are a segmented group or a marginalized group of people, because over a long period of time, let's say from the literature that I have read through, in the 19th century and 18th century, I think 19th century, when now they were introducing, let's say, Christianity and education into Africa, the people, it was mostly to create a workforce. So even when it comes to development and economic and social development, it was based on capitalism. And therefore, it is basically how much value can you put to the table and how much profit am I going to earn from it. So that, in its way of thinking, has separated, it has undervalued people with disability or persons with disability, because you find that if we are creating products or services, we are creating products and services for people who have the buying power. So because of that reoccurrence over a long period of time, persons with disability are always come in as an afterthought, and they've been known to be, it's like whenever people are tackling issues with relation to disability, it's a touchy issue, it's an expensive issue, so we will not tackle it because how much value are they bringing to the table? So because of that, you find that when people are creating, let's say, when people are creating products and services, they will not think of people with disability because they are not the people on the front line. They are not the main customers. They are not the main target audience or the target market. So you'll find over and over again, people will create websites, will create apps, will create devices without a single thought of persons with disability. And yes, I do encounter that over and over again, but times are really changing, and the Western world, especially America and UK, you'll find they're becoming more and more aware and inclusive when they're creating apps. For example, I'll mention a few. When you're signing into Uber, it's not as difficult as it is signing in to Glovo. Glovo is one, or it's a logistic app it's a delivery app for medicine, shopping, and food. But Uber it's also a logistical application for both transport and food deliveries, but it is much easier. They've made the process a bit easier for me to sign up or sign in. Audible offers you an opportunity to when you're trying to recapture, it offers an option of audio instead of just what can you see. They ask you what can you hear, and you'll find other websites like BBC is very inclusive, and they even have like even when you're signing in or when you're going through their website, you find that it is very compatible with screen readers. So as much as yes, there is a really huge gap and we still have a long way to go as Africans, I think when we start changing the mentality of how much value can you add to the table in terms of capitalistic thinking, and we start thinking of one another as we all have value to offer as individuals and as human beings first, because everybody serves a huge purpose in whatever way possible. And then, therefore, whenever we are creating something, we'll create something that everybody can be able to enjoy.
Okay. Thank you for that insight, for information that they don't put in mind persons' abilities, those who are designing websites or maybe those who are coming up with that product, they don't put in mind persons' abilities. Thank you so much. Madam Eve, as a founder for Brand Girl Experience, what challenges have you experienced in Kenya? Does Kenya have an inclusive policy on digital inclusion?
No, Kenya, we still have a long way to go. Because you realize majority of the things that are inclusive are not Kenyan. They are American or they are Western. The things that are inclusive, I feel like I'm included when I am in my house. Otherwise, the minute I step out of my house, everything just becomes very exclusive, from the infrastructure to everything. So no, we still have a long way to go. And you'll still hear people saying that, we are still dealing with marginalized groups, from women. I mean, in Africa, women are marginalized. Yes, we are also, we have a fair share of population in Africa. Then we go to youth. The youth is 70% of Africa. Then now we go to people, refugees. Those are also other marginalized groups. And now you come to disability, because in all those groups, there are disabled people. So in every group, in every marginalized group, there are disabled people involved. Therefore, you find that we still have a long way to go in terms of how we think of one another as human beings, so that we can reach a point where we value each and every individual as a human being, as a purposeful human being, that there is value they're going to offer, whether it is their hands, whether it is their smile, instead of looking at it from how much profit can I make from you. That is what I would repeat. So you find that even in Kenya, whenever you ask somebody for an opportunity, like especially technology wise, the apps that have been created, for example, M-Pesa, my Safaricom app is so it's hard to use it. I have to ask an individual who can see to be able to help me operate it. M-Pesa app, it's also very hard to use it alone. The banking apps, you'll find very few you can use it up until a certain point. So we still have a long way to go in terms of matters inclusion, because this always comes in as an afterthought when people are creating apps or devices or products. So it's even people now think of it after they see you, is when they remember, oh, we did not make anything for you. Let us now go back to the drawing board and make something for you now that you're here. And yes, having started Blind Girl Experience, I have done a couple of episodes where I've involved other people. And I have also gone, one of them is involving, I've gone to a restaurant trying their meals, and you find that some restaurants do have prompts where it's a menu prompt. You either you scan the QR code and then you get the prompt of the menu. Now, what happens is it's advanced technology, really big up on them. But unfortunately, when they are making those prompts, they did not include a prompt that is compatible to a screen reader. So still, I am excluded, meaning a person with sight is the one who can be able to access that QR code and be able to access the menu. Therefore, I still have to wait for someone else to read it for me. Whereas if they created a prompt that was compatible to my screen reader, I would not have to ask somebody else to read for me. I'd just listen to the menu on my own through my phone. And you'll find there's so many other advancements. Let's say like even elevators, accessing websites on, accessing websites for like hotels and even the like my Carrefour app. I can't buy anything on that app because it is so saturated, and also it's not compatible with my screen reader, because at the very end I may need to purchase, and even when I'm double tapping, it doesn't necessarily pick the items that I really wanted, and they don't use alternative text to be able to describe what item I'm exactly trying to buy. So there's a lot of exclusion when it comes to digitization in Kenya, where we are ahead in terms of advanced digitization. But when it comes to inclusion of persons with disability, especially visual impairment, and also now people with cognitive impairments, we are still lacking behind. Did I pause? Was I hard?
Yeah, we are getting you. I don't know if Beatrice has a challenge in network or but we are getting you clearly.
Okay.
Yeah. Beatrice, are you there?
Yeah.
I think Beatrice is having network issues. I don't know if the background is not okay.
Is Fasola here and Michael?
Fasola is not yet, because the timing was set to be from 4:20, but now the things changed because the first session was to be a presentation. So I think they are thinking that we're going to be, but I know that they're going to be joining us, and we're going to give them an opportunity to share one or two about the same topic. And Evos,
Okay.
and it seems Beatrice, are you there kindly?
Okay, you can ask the question that you had asked before, and maybe now other people can give a contribution to
I
the.
just want to open it up to the people, because I know these are a very important space that everybody is into. I know Jonah is also here. Can give him a chance to post some question or some comments on it as we continue. Jonah,
Yeah.
please, I don't know if you're there. You can pick it up. Salumano, are you there? Mr. Jonah is what I wanted to give him a chance to talk on this. Jemima, do you want to add something?
Aviko?
Yes, please go ahead. We've been calling you. Yes.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, participants. Thank you for the presentation, especially on the visually impaired persons. But basically, issues to do with the digital also requires even to suit, including even our friends who are deaf. Our friends who are deaf, we know to say that them the only means of communication using maybe, for example, phone. It's through text messages because they are unable to talk. And therefore, even as we go on, there is a need, since we are in the digital aspect, there's need even for designers of telecommunications to start coming up with a design of how the sign language aspect can automatically be designed whenever a caller calls that is on the screen. But for sure, if you look at what the presenter said on the website designing, it's true, persons with disabilities such as the visually impaired, they are never considered. Probably some of these things, it's due to lack of political will. And if political will is at its best in the affairs of disabilities, we can not go wrong if something has been politically pronounced, because once a political pronouncement has been made, it becomes more or less like a law, and especially if it has been enacted into law, then it will mean that you cannot design a website without considering inclusion of people who are visually impaired. So for this to be effected, there is a need to advocate for a strong push to ensure that in Africa, laws pertaining designing of website which are inclusive, they must be enhanced. So I thought I should have commented on that. Again, you find that being the minority in Africa as persons with disabilities, we find that even when it comes to influential decision-making positions, it's rare that persons with disabilities are considered in such positions. But again, on the weaker side, in the event where you have a government that is considerate in including persons with disabilities, those that have the opportunity to be appointed in such positions, you find that again, they become silent, no voice. They join the wagon of able-bodied wish, among others. And the reason why we advocate even for inclusion is to ensure that we have a voice to represent persons with disabilities, so that certain issues such as what we are discussing this afternoon are considered and implemented. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I know we have John is a media personality, we always have a show on disability inclusion, and is a very big vocal, very big voice in Zambia. And I believe that if you give them a chance, they can talk until tomorrow. Because it's a very important area that that everybody you can talk about. There's a lot to really discuss about disability and digital inclusion, and they're very central. So I just want to give it back to Eve to make some final remarks, or it's not a final, but can be some 2 minutes of remarks as we go to the next session that is led by Fiabu from West Africa. Yes, Eve, please go ahead. You can just make your general call to action in regards to digital inclusion as an empowerment tool. Yeah. Please go ahead. I don't know if we can get you. Yes. Go ahead. Sorry for that. We can still get you. I don't know if you're getting difficulties to unmute.
Do I speak?
Yes, please go ahead. Your general call to action in regards to this topic. Yeah.
Okay. I agree with Jonah that yes, we do need people in influential positions to be able to push for these policies to be implemented, especially when it comes to digital inclusion. When apps are being made, by the time they are being they've been taken out to the, they're being showcased to the world or to the country. There are certain measures that should have been undertaken, and also there should be like a board to be able to review these things. So if in these positions of influence there is absolutely nobody who is blind, there's absolutely nobody with dyslexia, or even just understanding and acknowledging that persons with disability are just human beings who can be able to perform and be able to be part and parcel of these spaces. So if there are no persons with disability in positions of influence, it becomes very hard to push for those measures to be taken, or to those policies to be implemented, because it doesn't affect anyone who has implemented the current laws. Let's say the digital or the website design laws. So at the end of the day, they will do what is working for the majority and the non-disabled people. So I feel like from our own level, from our own basic level, I think even from the conversation we had yesterday, going to the community and starting with the community, not starting from the top, going to the bottom, but starting with the bottom, going to the top. In our own individual conversations and interactions, how are we employing digital inclusion? If we are web designers, or app designers, what are we doing as individuals in our own capacities? What are we doing even when we are opening up businesses? Because some of us are entrepreneurs, but when you are creating a website, do you actually think about your comrades? Because they are part and parcel of the community, and they'd want to purchase something from site or interact with your website. We ask our developers to actually have accessibility features that are compatible to screen readers. Do we think about it now that we are here? The people that are in this conference at this moment in time, I feel like sometimes we don't have to always keep waiting on the government, on the politicians, on the people, on the leaders, because we are the leaders. In our own small ways, we can start. Then we start, we begin the trickle effect from one person to another. And if we collaborate with one another, for example, I have blind experience, and it's final, it's operating right now only. It's a YouTube channel. I get to share my stories and other stories of people who've lost their sight as adults. And those stories open up your mind to a world bigger than yours. And if I'm able to tell the Nairobian story, I go to the other counties, and then I'm invited to all these other countries that are here. I mean, we are now spreading the word. If we are able to start within ourselves, within our small community that is gathered here, by creating awareness, creating opportunities for people to learn, creating even creating products and services that are affordable to all of us that we are here, then we start the ripple effect. By the time the rest of the world is catching up, we have started the journey. I think that is what is most important, because if we look carefully and we look keenly, we'll find that there are certain things our grandparents never enjoyed. They did not enjoy having smartphones. They did not even enjoy, some of them did not enjoy having washing machines in their house. I mean, they'd think you're lazy. So we have a long way to go, even in the way our thinking, the way we think about life in general, how we think about ourselves. If we are the ones to start the inclusion from just a basic level, definitely the rest of everybody else will catch up with us on this journey.
Definitely, thank you. Yeah, I think that is a well powerful call to action that is very, very evident that we need to step in and be transformed in how we think about this space, not just from the government, that like pushing into the government, but also to us as people developing apps, who are championing for digital inclusion, people are working on startups, on businesses, on different cadres of our interest and society. So thank you so much, Eve, and thank you so much, Beatrice, for taking this time to show us different ways that we feel like is very powerful. And thank you so much, Jonah, also. I know this session was to take place from 4:20 to 4:30 timing. We have there. So I want to officially welcome Mr. Fiabu. I don't know if you're able to share your screen already. Fiabu from Ghana to share with us this digital state of digital in West Africa. Mr. Fiabu, are you there kindly?
Yes, please, I'm here.
Please do share your screen if possible so that we're able to welcome
Good
you. Thank you so much.
afternoon to everyone.
Yes, please shortly. If you do have any question regarding this session, if you can share your details like your YouTube channel, people can empower you. You can go there, subscribe. You can share your details if there's someone want to reach out to you. And also, next year in June, we are planning to have the Africa Disability Digital Inclusion Summit in Zambia. So we are planning on that already. And I think we're going to be giving news for those who are interested in this area to work and see that next year becomes a very powerful year for us. So thank you so much, and welcome Mr. Fiabu from Ghana to share with us this important area. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Victor.
I don't know why we can't see the screen. We can only see the attendees. Yeah, you try to share the document.
Can you see it?
Yes, you can now see it very clearly. No,
Okay.
we were seeing it, but now it has gone. Okay, now we can see it. You can scroll to the. Yeah, it is now there. It's now there. Okay, beautiful. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Victor, for this great opportunity. Please, my name is Fiabu Charles Doji. I'm a bachelor holder in environmental health and sanitation education. I am an environmentalist, a religious leader, a social development worker, and I'm the founder and the CEO for Mission to Transform Lives International. I'm here in Ghana. Yeah, speak on this topic. You know, this is Africa Digital Inclusion Conference 2024. And the theme that I'm to speak on is digital inclusion and regional integration of Western Africa. And this slide is being prepared by me, Fiabu Charles Doji, the CEO for Mission to Transform Life International. So, introduction. Digital inclusion and regional integration are two transformative forces that shapes a socio-economic landscape in Western Africa. So they are very, very important. They pull the socio-economic growth in West Africa. So digital inclusion is defined as the ability of individuals and communities to access and effectively use information and communication technologies, that is ICTs, serves as a cornerstone for regional integration by fostering interconnectedness, shared economic growth, and enhanced governance. So as Madam Eva said, that digital inclusion helps some kind of connectivity. So it brings people together. So with digital inclusion, we have a role of digital inclusion in regional integration. So the first one is economic empowerment and trade. Economic empowerment and trade. So economic empowerment, I'm talking about, it enables small and medium enterprises, that is SMEs, to access broader market across the region. People can travel from here and there, just be using online, just use digitization. Instead of them traveling in person, they will just use digitization to transact business from one country to another in that way. And it continues. So somebody can also learn, be in his comfort zone and begin to learn at even outside, and even learn, let me say, go to school instead of traveling. You can just do it online, and it helps. And a lot of people can also do payment, maybe transaction of business. So you do payment through online. So those are some of the inclusion in digitization. So the second point is education and education and human capital development. Digital tools are critical for improving literacy and education across the region. E-learning platforms offers opportunity to harmonize education standards, shared curricula, creating a skilled labor forces, and so on. So as UNESCO emphasized that digital technologies can democratize access to quality education, hereby narrowing the disparities in learning outcomes. So you can make your own decision that, oh, this is where this is the institution I want to learn, and this is the institution I want to learn, because not necessarily traveling to that particular place, but you can just be at the comfort of your zone and decide that this is where I want to study, and you offer that course at a minimal space. We have infrastructure development and connectivity. Regional integration requires robust digital infrastructure such as fiber optics networks and data centers. Initiatives like the ECOWAS Regional Backbone Infrastructure project aimed to enhance connectivity and reduce the cost of internet access across member states, fostering collaboration and economic integration. So with all this, we have a lot of challenges so far as digital integration, digital inclusion and regional integration is concerned. The first one is digital divided and a digital division. Approximately 60% of West Africans lack reliable internet access, with significant disparities between urban and rural areas. This inequality impedes the inclusiveness and of regional integration effort. So let's assume even currently here in Ghana, we are facing a lot of network challenges. If you call somebody, it's difficult to reach the person. The person can even be closer to you, but you cannot be able to reach him or her. So at that time, even transacting business are difficult. People in urban centers, they have the opportunity to have access to internet as compared to the people in the rural communities. So all those things are challenges. So another challenge is policy and regulatory fix. Diverse regulatory environment across countries hinder cross-border digital services and e-commerce. A harmonized framework is essential for seamless integration. So over here, because maybe we in Ghana, our policy regarding digitization is different from the policy or regulatory framework in Nigeria or Sierra Leone or wherever. So it makes it very, very difficult for people to work together, to transact business, and so on and so forth. The third point is availability and literacy. Illiteracy. The cost of devices and data remains prohibitive for many citizens, while digital illiteracy feature restricts access to technology. So, example, digital technology tools like computer, phones, and whatever, because they are, it's difficult to come by, very, very expensive. So you realize that somebody who wanted to even go into this digitization will find it very difficult to afford or to buy this kind of gadget or tools. So with that, it makes it very, very difficult. And also educational level, because maybe the person was not able to learn IT in school or whatever. So it's also become a challenge for people to use, for everybody to be included in digitization. We have strategic recommendations. So these are some few recommendations that I've made to maximize the potential of digital inclusion for regional integration. So with this, stakeholders must promote public-private partnerships. So governments should collaborate with tech companies and financial institutions to build infrastructure and develop affordable digital solutions tailored to regional needs. So with this, the government alone cannot do it. So you have to collaborate with private entities, private institutions, example, tech institutions or companies, and so that they can provide a reliable and build a financial stable infrastructure to develop the digital world. We also have enhanced digital literacy programs. Grassroots initiatives should target undeserved population, particularly women and youth, to improve digital skills and enable equitable participation in the digital economy. So with this, we are talking about everybody coming on board, especially the vulnerable women and the youth. They have to learn. They have to support the government, the private institution. They have to support them. They have to empower them so that they will be able to use them. They will be able to own digitization as one of the things by them. Especially the women, they find it, most of them, they find it difficult to have access to use digital tools like computer. So if you empower them, if you train them, I think they will be able to use it and use it very well. The third point is harmonize regulatory frameworks. ECOWAS should spearhead efforts to standardize policies for digital services, cyber security, and data privacy, facilitating cross-border trade and communication. So with this, if there is no framework or harmonized framework, there will not be a secure data and things people can scam whatever. So the ECOWAS have to spearhead, have to lead this particular program by making sure that policies and regulations are made to ensure cyber security and data privacy, so that nobody will just jump into somebody's privacy or data that the person have stored somewhere. We have the point 4, that is leverage emerging technologies. Tools like blockchain can streamline regional trade agreements, while artificial intelligence and big data analytics can optimize regional planning and resource allocation. So in conclusion, digital inclusion is not just a technological imperative, but a socio-economic necessity for regional integration in Western Africa. It is very, very important. So by addressing these systematic barriers and investing in digital infrastructure and literacy, the region can unlock unprecedented growth and cohesion. As Nelson Mandela once said, education is most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. In the digital age, access to technology becomes an equally potent force to transformation. So this is the end of my presentation. So all this presentation, I'm having some references. So if you go to these areas, you will find them there. So Mission to Transform Life International, as I said, this is our address. Busia, Nkranza North District in the Bono East region. This is our digital address. You can also send us a mail, postal messages through box number NZ 59 Nkranza, and this is our telephone number or WhatsApp 02 plus 233 24 50 10 822, and this is our email and this is our website. Thank you very much for your time. God bless you.
Wow, thank you much. Thank you so much, Mr. Fiabu, all the way from Ghana. I'm so happy with the presentation that you've done now. And I think if you have any comment about the West Africa integration, kindly, usually if you're from West Africa or you're from another part of the Africa, but you feel like there's something you can add on it, kindly just raise up your hand or make a comment. Or yeah, he's open. We really want to learn from everyone of us here, because we are not at a level whereby we can know everything. And if we're able to learn from West Africa, we're able to learn from the southern part of the continent, we're able to learn from the eastern part of Africa, central and the northern part of Africa, then from there we can truly move to a trajectory that is inclusive, because there's no way we are going to say in 1991 we had something called the Abuja Treaty, which brought all the leaders in Africa, all the presidents in Africa, and they signed this treaty to be creating regional economic communities of Africa. And in fact, today we have not just 5 regions, we have 6 regions, including the diaspora as the 6th region. So all these regions must collaborate, however how diverse, different we might be, but we must collaborate with the harmony. So if you see there's a policy that is a policy difference between Ghana and Nigeria, or Nigeria and Cameroon, and Sierra Leone and Gambia and Ivory Coast, then there's a problem. Because if the regional economic community was to be built on a harmony framework, then there's a lot of work that we need to think about in regard to the work we need to put there. So as we advocate for skills development, digital infrastructure, access to internet, access to disability inclusion, access to refugees empowerment, and all these things, we must also put in our priority list that we have regions that we are to advocate for and to see that they are framed in a way that is going to make Africa work in a good way. So thank you so much, Mr. Fiabu, for the good presentation that has been amazing. I think like we really have a lot to think about, not just from the point of what we are interested into, but general areas of development. So thank you so much, Fiabu. You can share your organizational details in the chat box. Somebody can reach out to you so that you're able to put there. In regards
Thank
to
you
the
very much, sir. I also be grateful to share the presentation so that anybody that is interested, I'll share it with you so that instead can read.
Yes, we're going to be sharing all the presentations are going to be shared so that we're able to go out and take time and review everything from yesterday to today. And also for the sake of regions, next year we're we're going to be having regional digital inclusion leadership forums. And these forums are going to be creating us an opportunity to discuss our regions based on the digital inclusion initiative. So if you're from West Africa, please prepare for the West Africa Digital Inclusion Leadership Forum. Yeah. I know it's going to be coming up in August. Yeah, in August of 2025. I just have to state it today because of the presentation that we've had now. Yeah, so that it opens up to be ready for the best that is yet to come. So thank you so much, Mr. Fiabu. That has been a very excellent presentation. And yes, we're going to be sharing the content and everything that is there. So without much to do, I think I want to welcome the next presentation. I just want us to be very keen today. Today we just want to learn, get to know, get to be aware, get to be knowledgeable, get to be equipped with the right necessary tools that we need. We need to be equipped with the understanding. Then when you leave this conference, you leave with a conviction and a complete understanding that you can act and be that difference, that we don't want to just talk about these things. We want to be the people to act them and see them come to reality in our communities. So it is very important for us to put this in our hearts. No, not just in your brain, yeah, in our hearts, so that from there we're able to know where can we act from, where can we make a difference, where can we stand in, so that we're able to be the people who are going to be pushing all these things. Because there's nobody who's going to stand from out of this conference to start doing what we presented here. It is you who is here. It is me who is hearing. It is all of us here. So the moment you see a presentation, the moment you see something that has struck you, the first thing is to do, what can I be the difference? Can I be the change that can really place this to be an effective thing in our community? So let's, as we present, let's maintain the tempo of getting to learn and getting ready to be that difference, to be that change that we want. I don't know if Onward is there. Onward is there. I think now we want to jump to the issues of policy. And I think we've seen the disability inclusion. We've seen the gap of how people with disability are like marginalized. And also we look at the West Africa context of digital inclusion. We also want to look at the policies, general policies about Africa. Now we have Africa as a continent. How can we approach digital inclusion-related policies? Because inclusion, for us to have a strong conviction in this area, policies has to back us up. If policies fail, we're never going to do anything. Yeah, policies are like the framework. It's like what is going to build us to a practicality framework. So I want to give Onward. Onward, are you there? Mr. Onward? I think you are there. I don't know if you're getting me or your microphone is bringing issues. Yeah, you can talk, please. Are you there? Onward, I don't know if you are able to speak because I see your microphone is on.
Hello, Victor.
Yes, we can now get you, please. Hello.
Am I visible enough right now?
Yeah, you're very now very well. We can now get you. Yes.
Yeah, okay. First of all, I just like to greet each and every one of you who have dedicated their time to this conference. It's a great determination which you have shown there. Secondly, my name is Onward Mtapurwa. I am from Zimbabwe, a political scientist and a public manager. I'm also a researcher and policy analyst, as well as I am also a youth advocate with All for Climate Action and Youngo. As well, I'm also a democratic enthusiast with Democracy Moves. And so that's Onward. And not wasting much of the time, I would like to review about the port of call today. Our session is based on the topic assessing and reimagining digital inclusion policies in Africa through a global lens.
Are you sharing your screen?
Okay, may you please share that for me? Do you have any document right there? Victor.
You can still share with your phone if possible. I don't know if it is possible. You can still share with your phone.
Let me
Just try.
Yes.
Try, then you go to document space, then from there you choose on the
Yeah.
document, then you go to
Okay,
the
yes.
document specifically.
Okay.
Oh yeah. I'm the only person who is able to see it. I don't know who can see it also.
Is everyone seeing this screen?
Yes, we are.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's the assessing and the
Yes, we
imagining
are.
digital inclusion
Yes,
policy
we are
in
assessing.
Africa through global lessons.
Yes, through a global lens or a global perspective, just one and the same thing. Some might wonder what is going on there. It's just one and the same thing there. So, without wasting much time, I would like for us to have a posture to certain question. What is a policy? And what are African digital policies? Why do we need to assess and reimagine African digital inclusion policies through a global lens? So, in trying to bring an understanding to this question, a policy is a set of principles, values, and intents that outline expectation and provides the basis for decision making and resource allocation. So, taking from this strand, we can easily understand what Africa Digital Inclusion Policy is. An African Digital Inclusion Policy, these are set of principles and values which aim to create a secure, equitable, and inclusive digital environment within the continent or within a certain nation. So Africa, just like any other continent in this world, with a dream of a world in which even the weakest person can thrive in this era of globalization and technological development, as well as the era of sustainable development. It comes up with a certain document known as the Digital Transformation Strategy 2020 to 2030. And this document is also in line with the international organization, which is the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So, talking about these documents and these policies, one should understand that the world exists in a bureaucratic nature. Like we are something like pegged in a certain hierarchy. So, in everything which happens in the international system or in the international community, we have the United Nations as the sole body at top. We have the regional organizations such as African Union as following through, and down we have the regional economic communities. And these regional economic communities have to cascade down each and every policy within a regional organization. For instance, African Union produced the document Digital Transformation Strategy. And the regional economic communities in Africa, such as the East African Community, the SADC, and ECOWAS, have to cascade those policies into their region and into a manner which befits their geographical location. I think everyone is understanding me on this thing. So, asking a question, why do we need to assess and reimagine African digital inclusion policies through a global lens? One should know that a policy is there to be a solution to a certain problem. That's why we have policy. Policy are derived from the citizenry interest. Without a problem, there is no a policy. So we need to assess those policies to measure their impact and how they are benefiting the general citizenry. And how do we measure those impacts? We need to measure those impacts basing on the principles and values as well as intents. Trying to talk about those words, principles, values, and intents, they might seem something like which is out of this world. The principles, these are certain standards we made for ourselves, like the key pillars which bond our certain documents. The values, These are things which value the most. Like on the digital transformation strategy, we have the key pillars, which are the principles. These key pillars, we talk about digital infrastructure, e-governance, and so on, just to mention a few. As well as when we are talking about the principle, the values in Africa, first, we value equity since we are talking about digital inclusion. Second, we value Pan-Africanism. Pan-Africanism, in Africa, we are blessed with this philosophy called Pan-Africanism. As Africa, we live in a certain way. We believe this is our culture, this is our tradition. And the tradition of Africans does not based on individualism, it's based on collective action. So these are the values we value the most when we are talking about the digital inclusion policy. The intents, these are the things which we aim to achieve, and so on. We set targets for us to have the smart goals or to have a smart objective. We set targets for ourselves. So that's why we need to assess the digital inclusion to see that according to our key pillars, how much progress have we made already? Are we on spot? Is this policy benefiting the general citizenry, or is just there for a mere show to say we have this in Africa, whilst it actually is being done, nothing is being done on the ground? So why do we need to reimagine these digital inclusion policies? We need to reimagine them to see what is worked elsewhere. Actually, Africa as a continent does not work in a vacuum. We are a system, we are components in the system. So, whilst we are components in the system, there is this statement which say, no man is an island that draws water within itself. We need each other for us to progress. So, that's why we say we need to reimagine our African digital inclusion policies through a global lens to see what has worked elsewhere and what has not worked elsewhere. Let's look at the Europe, let's look at the United States, let's look at Asia and see what had worked there and what had not worked there, so that we can channel it through our own perspective, which is the Pan-African way. That's why we need to reimagine these digital inclusion policies. Secondly, to contribute to the international affairs, we are a system. I already said that. So in this system, I already said that it's a bureaucratic nature like. We have the United Nations. The United Nations have certain goals, certain objectives, like the climate change agendas, the climate change, everything now is all about sustainable development. So this agenda of sustainable development have got 17 sustainable development goals. And these goals for us to achieve them, Africa, we are also contributors. So, whilst digital inclusion anchors sustainable development, we cannot talk about sustainable development without mentioning about digital inclusion, because the world is moving. We are now in a certain era where technological advancement it should be prioritized more. So, we have to include those who cannot afford it for themselves. So, that's why we need to reimagine our African digital inclusion policies to contribute to the international affairs, to contribute to the sustainable development goals. For Africa to achieve the sustainable development goals, it needs first to work on its digital inclusion policies so that no one will be left behind. So another thing, we need to work to reimagine so that we will be in line with the international standards. Not mentioning many of the standards here, I would like to say the basic standard which everyone can understand is we should prescribe our policies basing on the human rights. There is an international convention about human rights. A policy in digital inclusion should consider the human right as the standard. If a policy does not consider human rights, it failed the international standard. If the policy is segregatory, let me say there is this convention about elimination on discrimination against women, the CEDAW. If the policy does not consider anything about CEDAW, it is not in line with the international standard, because we cannot talk about inclusion whilst other sect or whilst other gender is being excluded. So that's why we need to reimagine our digital inclusion policy so that we could contribute to such things. So going on, without wasting much time, I would like us to take a posture to this question, someone would ask himself, why digital inclusion now? And what are key pillars anchoring African digital inclusion policies? Why are we talking about digital inclusion now? First thing I would like to say, there's this author I would like to say, Esther Bossaraps, once said, necessity is the mother of all inventions. So why are we talking about this right now? It's necessity. That's why we need digital inclusion. Why? Because I have already said that we live in a system, and this system is characterized by liberal markets. This system is characterized by globalization and technological advancement. Technological advancement and globalization work hand in hand, and they work in a system which advocate for liberal markets. These liberal markets are very competitive that a low-income individual cannot do with it. You might find some challenges. For instance, this applies to the states. A wealthier state will find it easier to work on digital infrastructure to say, whilst low-income state might find, whilst low-income states might find it difficult to come up with a digital infrastructure which is reliable and which is current to these times. So that's why we are talking about digital inclusion, to cover those gaps, those things which are being caused by our system. This liberal system is much more of individualistic. It does not concern about the other person. This liberal system is much more about creating the winners and the losers. So for us not to have the winners and losers of digitalization, we need to have in cognizance anything to do with digital inclusion. So this also explains why we have such digital divide in African states. Mostly it's common, the rural and urban digital divide. It's just because of those liberal markets. Investments are much more in urban areas than rural areas, because rural areas are not economically active. Investors bother themselves to develop areas which work for themselves, not anything which does not have anything to do with them. That's the liberal system, how it works. So now, also putting into consideration, why are we talking about digital inclusion now and not before? We should put in cognizance that with globalization and technological advancement, with globalization, there was heavy reliance on fossil fuels, heavy dependence on fossil fuels. And with the technological advancement, there were so many carbon emissions, and due to an increase in supply chain, which also increased the carbon footprints. And so this also posed the problem we are having today, climatic changes. This also is the thing we are focusing now, which had been done by technological advancement and globalization. So, whilst we talk about climate change, there is this Paris Agreement, which talk about a decrease in carbon emissions by 2%, should be by 2029, if I'm not mistaken. So, looking at those goals and agendas by the United Nations, that's why we need to talk about digital inclusion, because we cannot achieve such target with whilst someone is still marginalized, whilst their state can do good with it, less income states might not do good with it. That's why we need digital inclusion. So, another thing I want to say about, we have learned something from the events, the catastrophes we have felt, something which have caused pain to ourselves, the COVID-19. During the COVID-19, there were lockdowns, everything went virtual, and we see the harsh realities of a digitally excluded world. The work become remote, education become virtual. And this was much more advantageous to the urban students, mostly if it's about education. Whilst rural students could not even access, could not even use, could not afford such digital technologies. That's what I'm always taking. Secondly, you're talking about remote work. Most of the employees didn't have a digital skill to function remotely. That's why we are now talking about we need digital inclusion. Also, not talking about internet usage, we can talk about our own industry. our own industries, they are not, mostly in Africa, they are not one of the most advanced industries. They are still backward. So we need digital inclusion, which is now our present. We need digital inclusion to do away with the gaps between the marginalized and those who can do it for themselves. That's why we are now talking about digital inclusion, and I hope everyone have grasped it all on these things. So when we are talking about the African digital inclusion policies and pillars anchoring it, I cannot actually talk about just pillars. We can talk about the digital transformation strategy, which is a policy 2020 to 2030, a policy by the African Union, one of the organizations which we all look up to in Africa as a continent. So these pillars are digital infrastructure, digital skill and human capacity, innovation and entrepreneurship, e-governance, just to mention a few. So those key pillars, I can actually tell each and every regional economic organization have to plan basing on those key pillars. Let us say the ECOWAS have got digital ECOWAS. ECO have got the digital development strategy, ECOWAS, which was passed this year in 2024 to 2025. We have the East African Community, which recently in November, if I'm not mistaken, passed the regional digital transformation strategy. All of this is coming from the African Union and its key pillars. So these are some of the key pillars which bond the African Union, also including the e-governance, the legislative frameworks. Those are key pillars anchoring the digital inclusion policies in Africa. So now, going through the part of the scope, I can now actually trying to tell everybody to listen carefully. At first, I have to mention these numbers so that each and everyone can have picture. I know numbers sometimes might stress, even I am stressed with numbers, but actually they are there to help us to see where are we coming from and where are we going from as a nation. Is it benefiting us, or is something we need to rework on it so that tomorrow will be bright? So, looking at the digital transformation strategy by the African Union, I can actually say its impact can be measured firstly by adoption by several nations. Each and African nation have adopted the digital transformation strategy, which shows that it's a success. Actually, it has provided a foundational framework. That's its impact. It's impactful. I can actually agree on this. Secondly, now, talking about its impact, we are now looking on its key pillars, assessing it basing on its key pillars. What the digital transformation strategy progress have been, and what had it not covered? What are the key targets? Those talking about the intention of a policy. A policy have to serve a certain intention. A policy is based on agenda setting. So, on the digital transformation strategy, we have the digital and infrastructure framework, digital infrastructure at 45% progress with a target of 100% by 2030. Digital literacy have 65% with a target of 100% by 2025. On frameworks, we have 50% with a target of 100% by 2025. On promotion on digital finances, we have 70% with a target of 90% by 2025. Innovation and startups are a 50% with 500 active innovation hubs and startups incubators with a target of 1,000 by 2030. E-governance has also proved to improving with a mark of 40% progress with a target of 80% governance services accessible online by 2025. Talking about these numbers I know they stress, but actually this is the picture of Africa as it stands with regards to digital inclusion policy. As for me, I would like to say idealistically is something is idealistically it's not that harsh way to say there is work on progress. I can try to give it a green color code, which means there is nothing bad. But realistically, actually, I'm a realist, and I'm not ashamed to say this. Realistically, I believe Africa is doing less. Why Africa is doing less in terms, we are assessing this digital inclusion policy. Africa is doing less in terms of digital inclusion because I'm disappointed with the progress indicators or the progress markage of the foundationals for the digital inclusion. First, the digital skill, we cannot actually talk about digital inclusion. Whilst the 65% is our number of people who are digitally literate. 65% is not a fair number with a continent, about 56 countries in Africa. We are talking about 65%, which means there is still a huge number which is digitally illiterate. It's a worrying number, and we cannot go anywhere whilst the general citizen is still illiterate. Secondly, I can actually talk about the legislative framework. This is the most worrisome thing. We before talking about digital infrastructure and resources, we need no resources for legislative frameworks. We need a political will. So this shows that we are not willing to move forward. How can we say we had failed to attain? It's 50% 2024, whilst we have a target of 100% by 2025. Imagine it's now all water under the bridge due to lack of political will. That's the truth. Most of the politicians are being rhetorical about this thing because these are the foundations. We can the legislative is like a glue to a glue to the vehicle of digital inclusion. We cannot actually say we are now being digitally included without having a robust legislative framework. That's the beginning. Those are the basic we need to have as Africa, and we are failing them. It's so shocking to say that we are failing them. I'm honest about this thing. Secondly, we are now talking about on the issues to do with the financial inclusion. There have been certain strides. I would like to thank each and everyone who had been pushing these things. I can actually say 70% is actually a good number, though we failed to meet the target because it's 2025, our target. Actually, you see, we are failing to meet the target of some of the aspects, whilst we are looking up to something, whilst we are looking to some of the aspects. So 70% is a fair number. Most of the African countries, we can now do mobile banking, we can now do online shoppings and online transaction issues to do with fintech, which is quite an improvement in digital inclusion. These are the impacts of the African digital transformation strategy. Now, talking about the issues to do with the digital infrastructure, this is one of the most worrisome thing. We are talking about 45%. Actually, allow me to say I'm a political animal. I do love to play with number to calculate the probability. We are now talking that Africa must be fully connected by 2030, of which we are at a percentage of 45%. It's a tricky number. Though something is being done, I would like to acknowledge that something is being done. 45% is something which just not come out of a blue, but it's a worrisome number. It's a trick because the probability is more or less likely to come true. And I can actually tell you that most likely we are about to fail the target of 2030 because we are talking about 45%, and I can actually testify it considering about the connectivity in the rural areas. In Zimbabwe, I can actually say most of the rural areas, I can actually say they have 2G networks, which is quite good, but they are not all. It's still 90, should be 93% or 94% network coverages. So we need to work on our infrastructure if we are meant for digital inclusion. We need to come up with something. I know on this issue about digital infrastructure, resources might come to be a hindrance, but we need to work out something. We need to definitely work something. So actually, this is the picture about the digital inclusion policy in Africa as a continent. And as a continent, I believe everyone is now seeing the picture. Where we are we and where we are we going, the progresses we have made. So now going to the regional economic communities, I can actually say about the East African communities, it has developed a comprehensive regional digital transformation strategy, which I've already mentioned about this year. In 2024, I'm very sure about this, but I don't know how the progresses have gone. So these prioritize on connectivity, data governance, and e-governance sort of things. So whilst we can talk about these assessment, we are talking about certain progresses in the regional economic communities. These are progresses coming up with such a comprehensive document. And right. So the EAC has also embarked on a regional digital integration project through the partnership. I've been reading something about the EU EAC partnership. The East African community has also been doing well on the EAC Digital Academy. It's all about enhancing digital skills within the region. It has also brought about the regional initiative, which is the One Network Area Initiative, aimed to reduce roaming charges and improve mobile network interoperability, benefiting millions of users. There is also the issues to do with public Wi-Fi's, but mostly in the rural areas. So looking at the African EAC, I would like to pass so that I can actually assess everything to do with these regional economic communities. So now going to the Southern African Development Community, SADC, it has adopted the draft on regional digital transformation strategy in 2023. And until now, I have never heard about anything to do with the draft. So the key priorities include promoting harmonized digital legal and regulatory framework, equitable access to affordable, secure, and high quality digital infrastructure. And there have been certain progresses within the region. I can actually say there has been made a 77% adult, which is now financially included due to the issues to do with mobile banking, the online transaction. This has been very well within the region. Now, looking at the broadband coverage, it's 70% in the rural and 30% in the urban, targeting 90 in the rural, or 70% in the 90% in the urban, or 70% in the rural. By 2030, digital skills have been recorded at 50% of the population, with a target of 80% by 2030. Government e-governance is on 60%, with a target of 100 by 2025. ICT regulations, which are legislation frameworks, have 50% harmonization, aiming 100 by 2028. Innovation hubs are at 50%, whilst aiming all member states to have innovation hubs by 2025. Actually, it's something interesting. I think everyone is getting me very well in terms of this analysis so that we can assess the impact. On the on the economic community of West African states, ECOWAS launched digital ECOWAS, focusing on cybersecurity and digital markets, as well as other things. The Digital Sector Development Strategy is a document which was developed this year, prioritizing e-commerce, cybersecurity, and inclusive digital economy, among other things. So, with the digital skills in ECOWAS, they have reached 45%, with a target of 75% by 2030. On innovation and startups, they have 40% progress, with a target of all member states by 2025. E-commerce implementation is at 50%, aiming for full implementation by 2025. E-governance, 55%. I think looking at all these numbers is something which we have to say that we can have something to talk about with regards to regional economic communities in terms of the digital inclusion policies. The regional economic communities are served as the basis for economic cooperation within states to drive development. So when we are talking about such thing as REX, we are talking about boosting a region, not just boosting a nation, boosting a region. So if the region is failing to meet some of the demands, I can actually say here, looking at SADC, we have 30% coverage in the rural areas, and they are aiming for 70% by 2030. We can actually tell that there is still more work to do in terms of digital inclusion, because I can actually say the probability is more or less likely for this to come through within the region. Then we can actually say with this urban divide, we can see how the liberal markets are focusing in certain urban areas. The urban areas hit 70% just because of the investors. That's why there is such technologies. So that's why we are talking about digital inclusion. So looking on ICT regulation, it also comes to the issues to do with political will. You can actually tell anything to do with this and digital
You can
skills.
check
These
your
numbers
presentation. Yes. Okay. National
is
level. Yeah. I think there's where you are. It's okay.
yeah. So coming at the national level, the Zimbabwe as a nation up with a document which is called the National ICT Policy 2022 to 2027. This document have certain projection, and in this with this enhancement, Zimbabwe has been doing some certain progress, but we can actually tell that this progress is much more marked on broadband issues. That's one of the aspects which is going in Africa. They are mostly thinking that digital inclusion means mostly to do with the internet only and not just about including some aspects of technologies. So Zimbabwe had been focusing on the mobile population coverage, which is 99% for 2G, 93.47% for 3G. I think everyone can look at these numbers and they can try to tell something. 100 target is 100% internet penetration and 90% light coverage by 2030. Digital skill and literacy initiatives such as distributing computers have been implemented, achieving 50% progress with a target of 80% by 2030. E-governance have been 60%. I can actually tell that in Zimbabwe, anyone can apply an e-passport. Everything is going digital with the governance. Also talking about Rwanda, Rwanda has made significant strides in digital inclusion with the aid of the digital transformation strategy from the African Union. So, guided by the Rwanda Smart Plan, various national ICT policies, there's been access to digital technologies which has reached 63.2% with a target of 100 by 2030. And I think everyone reading at these numbers can actually tell that these are the certain projection in terms of the impact of digital inclusion policies in Africa. Mostly they are focusing on broadband, where the energy is being gone, and that's why we have a certain reduction in e-governance. But Rwanda have been doing good in terms of e-governance and cybersecurity, approximately 70% with a target by 2025. So coming to a full understanding to someone who do not understand these numbers, the impact, the digital transformation strategy, among other transformation strategies within the region, have been impactful within the continent. Firstly, they've increased connectivity. Secondly, there have been much more improvement on digital infrastructure. Thirdly, there have
Yes.
been innovation. We can actually talk about startups. It's something which is in a way, it's something which is work in progress. Fourthly, we can actually tell e-governance, issues to do with the democracy. Anissa yesterday was talking that digital inclusion is democracy, which is actually true. So I believe the digital transformation strategy have been doing something quite well, but challenges are noted in certain aspects. We can talk about issues to do with lack of political will on frameworks. There is also duplication of efforts. I can actually say that in this southern part, we have COMESA and SADC. COMESA have a certain regional digital transformation strategy. SADC have a digital transformation strategy. So this duplication might end up resulting in confusion and burden. It's a burden to the region. So those are some of the challenges which are hindering our status in terms of digital inclusion. We can talk about the harmonization is an issue. I can actually tell that the draft on regional digital transformation in the Southern African Development Community was drafted in 2023, when the digital transformation strategy by AU is 2020 to 2030, which means it's 3 years down line, which has already lost. We can talk about EAC. It's now have the digital transformation strategy by 2024. So I can actually tell that these comprehensive documents are so essential, but as regional economic communities, they are failing to keep in time. Secondly, I can actually tell that there is a controversy between timelines. In the regional economic community, a target is set on 2030, like the digital literacy skill is set on the SADC, is set on 2030, whilst the digital literacy skill is set on 2025 by African Union. So these controversies are some of the challenges we are having in terms of bringing up a robust digital inclusion policies. The resource disparities, I can actually tell we do not have the same economic standings. So these resource disparities
Yeah,
are
onward
also
time is seeking you. Yeah,
okay.
please
Let
go.
me try to Yes, let me try to wrap up. Yeah, so another thing we can also talk about the skill and innovation. We can also tell that skill and innovation is a challenge because we are still have more people being digitally illiterate, and I think the numbers can tell. So now, I'm going on the other session, which is the important thing, which is called reimagining. So, whilst we are reimagining, we are looking at something elsewhere. And I believe that Africa is just a problem of just copying and paste. I believe when we reimagine, we need to reconsider our Pan Africanism concept. That's where those guys like Kwame Nkrumah, the guys like Frantz Fanon, will talk about the conscientism. This is now a new era. Everything is political. This is now a new era, the digital era. We need to conscientize an African child in terms of the digital world which is about to approach. So when we are reimagining, we need those values to conscientize ourselves so that we cannot just be consumers of those internet spaces. So in terms of reimagining, we need local coordination. There is need to implement digital governance. Africa is one of the most blessed continents. I've already talked about how Africa works. Africa is a community. The spirit of Ubuntu. I am because we are. We are an Ouroboros. The snake bites its tail. We don't believe in individualism. So we draw our power from the community. As we draw our power from the community, there is need to support the grassroots initiative. There is need for robust citizen participation. That's how we can reimagine digital inclusion policy. The citizens should be included in these policies so that it must not be something which they should try to ask it, what is it about it? It must be something which they understand, something which they actually said, we have this village coordinator in digital transformation. Here is our village representative. So also enhancing infrastructure connectivity needs determination. I think there is need for a Pan-African broadband fund. We need to be innovative in terms of we need to allocate our resources to work together, collectivism. We need to work together as a continent to fund our own project. We need to fund our own projects. I repeat this so that we can be successful. There is no man who is an island. I think everyone got me on this. We need to organize hackathons to increase the speed of innovation. Actually, Africa, we are more of consumers in the internet spaces. We do not own anything in the internet space, which is actually something which is troublesome. Even we cannot actually talk about Pan-Africanism when we cannot produce something of our own. So we need to work hard on this aspect. That's how we can reimagine. Encourage hackathons where some talent will be promoted and it will result in something else which is African oriented, African culturally cognizant. So we need also digital platforms for language because we can actually talk about inclusion, but we need to consider that we also have a generation, our older generation, who might not understand English as well. Whilst the internet sphere is full of English, I can actually tell it will be a hindrance. We need our own language, our own application, which even a grown man can operate using our own languages. That's how we
Yeah.
can reimagine.
Yes. Yeah.
Community-based training programs. I'm about to finish, Victor. We need
Okay.
the community-based programs. So actually, I can say this community-based program might be peer-to-peer. I believe in grassroots because actually we can draw power from the grassroots. That's how we need the community-based trainings. We need the youths, the startups, those startups from youths, taking it to the rural areas, teaching our old parents how to operate these gadgets. And I think I've done it all, and I think I've served justice. If there is any question, thank you very much, Victor. I know I have consumed a lot of time.
Wow, that is so powerful. You really are very passionate about policies in Africa And when it comes to digital inclusion, now you can even give it a lot of critical areas that you need to think around and work on. And thank you so much for really bringing a very, very, these are very, like, these were, like, it's one of the most fundamental, is a pillar that we have to lean on to really make a lot of constructive and strategic choices that we're going to be making through our lives. I think like the entire digital inclusion space is as powerful as the policy that is going to be supporting it. In fact, if you look globally, people are not just acting based on what they do. It's based on what policies can really propose to adjust to what we want to act on. And I feel like all next year as a team of digital inclusion, we're going to really come up with different policy topics, policy to do a research, to do advocacy. And I think those who are ready to be built in terms of capacity around policies for digital inclusion, just raise up your hearts, not your hands for now, because next year we are getting to really work on this area and build around capacity around this digital inclusion policy area, so that we're able to come up with ambassadors of data protection, ambassadors of digital sovereignty, ambassadors of digital inclusion policies, and able to stand up in the gap to be that people can help us push the digital inclusion policies to be at a level whereby our governments will try to understand and move with. So thank you so much, Onward. I feel like there's a more we need to still do and get back to. You really serve these a very big justice. I think we can still get a way to push this and come back again and talk about it. So thank you so much. If please, I've seen a lot of people asking for you to share the presentation with through their email addresses. I'm going to be definitely going to sharing the entire document. So now you're going to be sharing with the presentation. You're going to share with the presentation. Then from there, you're going to be sharing it to the different participants who took part to be in the conference. Yeah. So thank you so much for the wonderful, great presentation. And if you have any question, please kindly take time and chat in the chat box section. Also, you can have a question, please just go ahead and do it there. I know time is really running out. We have like less than 1 hour to be here, but we want to have other presentations that is going. We have a panel-based discussion remaining, and also we have a presentation to be done. So I'm going to be welcoming our presenter. We were to have Dr. Noha Isam from Egypt to be presenting on the digital inclusion and the development model in Northern Africa. And I don't know if she has joined us already. If not, we're going to welcome Lillian to present us on digital marginalization. We're going to be looking at the refugees, incarcerated individuals, and the prisoners. So I don't know if you are there, Lillian, kindly, please go ahead and share your screen. We are waiting to hear a very good, because digital, we were talking about the people with disability. We've talked about the Western African region. We've talked about the digital inclusion policies, how we can reimagine our action and our approach towards that. Now we want to look at the most digital, the ASAS community, the refugees, and also incarcerated, like those like prison and all people are in rehabilitation centers and all those people. So how can we think about them in terms of digital? Because digital inclusion is not for just us who have the skills, the devices, the internet, the policy, and all that. We are for everybody. That's why we are here to present and get away to work. Thank you so much. I see a lot of powerful comments coming there. Arnold has really pushed a very powerful area. So Lillian, are you there kindly? Lillian Tinotenda. Did I see the name well? So sorry for this. Lillian, please come up. I don't know if you're there. Lillian? Oh yeah, we can see. It seems you're not talking. Oh, you're using a phone. Okay. Okay, please try to share yours. Okay, we can see you trying to share your screen.
Hi, Victor. Unfortunately,
Hi.
I don't have my laptop, so I'm trying to share my screen. I don't know if you're able to share your screen, showing my document, and then I can present it from there, because my phone is on 21%, and I don't think it will be able to sustain sharing my screen, presenting as well for a very long time. I don't have electricity. The realities of Zimbabwe.
How about Lillian sends it Can you email it to me? Because I'm on my laptop.
All right. What's your
So
email
let
address? So that maybe
I'll
I
put it
can
in
email
I'll
it.
put it in the chat right now.
All right.
I just sent it.
All right. Anissa alumni. All right. I'll tell you when I've sent. That's in a few
Okay.
minutes. That's Stanford.
Meanwhile, feel free to share any comment, any questions so far. Also, in 30 minutes time, I'll be sharing our attendance survey for attendance, so that you are able to register your attendance. It's very important because for us to look at how to issue the certificates, all that we are planning to do, we cannot do it without you attending both days. So
Anissa.
Leon, did you get the assistance to do that?
Yeah, I'm emailing it now.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Yeah, please, if you have any question, any comment, feel free to make it on the chat box. We really want this conference to empower us all to be at least not just aware, but people are going to be carriers of actions. We're going to be able to translate every knowledge here to their real community and see that it makes a difference. And being that we're not just going to be ending our whole advocacy and all this our talk here, we still have a lot of actions to put there. I know Anissa has shared a link to the Africa Digital Inclusion Working Group. You can check it out, please. Also, we have the Africa Digital Inclusion Alliance, different social media pages. You can go to Facebook, Twitter, not Twitter, but X. Yeah, we just know it that way. Yeah, can go to LinkedIn.
Victor, hi.
Yes, please.
I just wanted to confirm if Anissa has received the mail. Oh, perfect.
There is. Okay, let me give it to you now. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, good evening. I don't know what time it is outside. To you all. My name is Lilian Tinotenda Mwandavaka. I'm from Zimbabwe. I'm an electronic engineer. I'm a digital rights activist. I'm a gender activist. I'm a student activist. I'm a human rights activist. And well, I was only given 15 minutes for this presentation, and I was given a very huge topic to present on. I was actually complaining to Victor earlier today and telling him my presentation is quite big for the time that you gave me. So I tried to compress my presentation to make it as small as possible. And I'm going to try to I'm very sorry, but I'm going to be really fast with this because my phone is on 20% and I don't have electricity or a power bank to charge my phone. So I'm going to be very fast so that I'm able to finish it in maybe 15 minutes. And then I think Victor will share the document with you guys, and then you read through. So I just placed everything in nuggets form to make sure I present it as fast as I can. So I'm presenting on digital inclusion. Digital inclusion pathways for refugees, incarcerated individuals, and ASL communities. All right. I don't have my laptop currently, so it's going to be a bit difficult for me to juggle between the two. All right. Can you go to the next? All right. Yeah, defining digital inclusion and digital equity. I'll start with digital inclusion. Unfortunately, I didn't define it in the PowerPoint, but digital inclusion refers to the efforts and initiatives that are aimed at ensuring that all individuals or maybe communities have equal access to digital devices, the internet, information and communication technologies, and can effectively use those technologies. And I'll also define digital equity. All right, that's a question to Mr. Onward. I'll also define digital equity as equal opportunities to those digital devices, digital internet access, where everyone has equal opportunity to access those things, to use internet, regardless of where you are from or anything like that. All right, moving to digital marginalization. Fortunately, I defined this. Digital marginalization is the exclusion of certain individuals or groups from the benefits of the internet and digital technologies. We're talking of when, I'll give an example of maybe refugees, because I'm presenting on refugees, incarcerated individuals are excluded from the benefits of the internet. They cannot access internet. They cannot access digital devices. They don't know how to use digital devices. So yeah, that's digital marginalization, where we say this certain group is not allowed to access this, or cannot access this, or cannot use digital devices. Thank you. Can we go to the next slide, please? Please ask questions, because I'm trying to rush through this so that my phone doesn't switch off before I finish this. All right. Relating digital marginalization and digital poverty. So digital marginalization and digital poverty are interconnected concepts. They talk of the disparities on the situations first in trying to access digital technologies and the internet. So which means they walk hand in hand, hand in pocket. I don't know if that's the correct term. And then those that are often trapped in digital poverty are the marginalized community, because when you don't get the access, or let's say, for example, I'll give an example of the poor. They cannot access or they don't have enough resources to buy. Sorry about that. You see where the interconnection comes in. Then my next point, an example is students from marginalized communities facing challenges in educational settings that require digital devices or the internet, leading to poorer educational outcomes. Okay, I'll give an example of Zimbabwe, my current country. So we have the A class, the rich people, the people that can access those things. If you meet a student or a child that lands at an A school, this child has access to the internet. So the things that he can access, or the information that he can access, is way different from a student or a child that is learning in the rural areas. Because I'll give an example. Currently, most of our textbooks or books are digital. They are no longer hard copies, they are all soft copies. So if we look at a student from deep rurals, because they don't have access to digital devices, they then are not able to access soft copy books. And then it limits them to a certain extent, different from a student that's learning in a well developed community, or that has access to those things. Thank you. Can I have the next slide? So this is a question that I want us all to maybe reflect on as I go through my presentation. How do you visualize a digital poverty-free world from your own perspective? And maybe when you can type it out in the comments, because this is something that I want all of us to reflect on and think about. Next slide, please. I'll be expecting your responses in the chat box, please. Thank you. All right. All right. So I'm now talking about state of digital exclusion. Sorry, can I give it 2 seconds? 2 seconds. Sorry. Victor, I know you have a lot to say. Can you?
Then why we can't get your voice? Are you there? Is Lillian there? Lillian, we can't get you kindly. I don't know if it is only my side. Lillian, we can't get you. I don't know if it is on my side alone.
Even me, I can't get her.
Let her try again to join. I think he's having some network connectivity challenges. Please, you'll bear with us. Okay, please go ahead now. I don't know if you're now okay.
Yeah, I'm now okay. I'm sorry. I was receiving a call that wouldn't
Thank
stop
you.
up until I answered it. So it cut my internet connection. But I think I'm there now. Thank you. Okay, so we're now talking of the state of digital exclusion for refugees. And I'm quite sure we are all aware what refugees are. So I'm not going to define that. So my first point was most often refugees are marginalized communities that are oftenly not exposed to digital devices and the internet. If we look at it like this, most refugees settle in an area that's excluded or an area that they feel it's not practically invading in the country because they don't have enough details, they don't have enough personal, what are they called, IDs, or yeah, something like that, from that country. So they settle in an area that is marginalized or that does not have internet access or access to digital devices. So this is the first exclusion or form of exclusion they face as refugees. Then my second point was the marginalization hinders them to access basic necessities and essential services. I'll give an example for Zimbabwe. Maybe language barrier. Someone has migrated from, let's say, South Sudan to Zimbabwe, and there's a huge language barrier because in Zimbabwe we speak Shona, and maybe in South Sudan they speak Swahili. And when they come to Zimbabwe, they are not able to access some of the basic necessities because of this barrier language. All right. Already, many refugees were settled in areas with inadequate internet infrastructure, which limits their access to online resources. I did mention that most of them settle in areas where there's no internet access, and you discover that most governments do not prioritize placing or putting policies or internet access in areas where refugees are settling. All right, economic instabilities often prevents refugees from affording internet services and digital devices. I was with a certain person from a refugee center in Zimbabwe, and they were mentioning that they are not allowed to work in Zimbabwe because they are refugees. They don't have enough papers that allow them to work in Zimbabwe, and then this leads to an economic instability because they don't have a formal job that gives them a formal allowance, that gives them a stable living condition. So which means for these people, digital devices may become a luxury. I don't know if a luxury. I don't know if I've said it well. So with some of those people, digital devices become luxury because they are trying to maybe feed themselves, clothe themselves, create a living environment that's a bit stable for them. So economic instability plays a major role to the exclusion of refugees. All right, lack of digital skills among refugees is a significant barrier that excludes them. All right, I've talked of language as a barrier. This can also play a crucial part in my last point, because some of them, they're not able to access digital skills because of the language barrier, and some of them are not able to access digital skills because of economic instability. They cannot attend a school that teaches about, digital devices, information technology, and communication. Yeah, I think I'll end there. Next slide. All right. Implications of digital divide for refugees. We have limited access to information and services. Most information nowadays is shared via WhatsApp, via social media platforms. And when you don't have a digital device, you become excluded from that information. So there's limited access for you to access that information. If we have job opportunities, we have LinkedIn, for example, that shares most job opportunities. And if you don't have access to LinkedIn, you become secluded to that information, which limits your access to that information. We have social isolation. Let's talk about those refugees that migrated to maybe Zimbabwe and left some of their family members in their original country because of lack of internet and lack of digital devices, social media platforms. They cannot communicate with their families back in their countries. I'll give an example of international calling. It's one of the most expensive things. So imagine now a refugee already with economic instability trying to do international calls. They limit, they now maybe say we do international calls once every month because they don't have the money to do the international calls. But if they had internet, they could communicate with the families, their friends back in their original countries. So then digital device then creates social isolation. Then we have the third point, barriers to quality education and employment. Please don't allow me to talk too much. I'm talkative, even though I'm having a hard time conveying this whole presentation in English. All right, barriers to quality education and employment. Like I said or mentioned earlier, most job opportunities are, what's happening with my, sorry. Most job opportunities are shared on social media platforms, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, and then when you don't have internet services, you might not be able to access those those opportunities. And when you talk of quality education, we are speaking of, oh Jesus, we are speaking of maybe we say when we speak of quality education, sorry, I got distracted for a few seconds. When we talk of quality education, we now maybe say a student is learning software engineering from a local university. And then for software engineering, you need what do they call them? A high power a laptop or device that allows programming. And then and if we know very well, these are the most expensive laptops. So, as a refugee, you're not able to access that kind of a device. So now you maybe have to use a low quality device that does not allow certain programming environments. And then this limits your quality to education. I hope I've explained quite well. And then we have increased vulnerability to exploitation and misinformation. It's now third-hand information. Let's say information has been spread via Twitter. There's a disaster coming, and now you have to get it from someone else who has accessed it via Twitter. It leads to misinformation because it's not first-hand information. Can hinder integration with the society. Next slide, please. All right. Digital inclusion pathways for refugees. Okay, so this is what I think should be done to create digital inclusion for the refugees. Firstly, I wrote fostering partnerships between governments, non-governmental organizations, civil society organization, community-based organization, and the private sector to develop digital inclusive solutions. I'll give an applaud to ADIA, African Digital Inclusion Alliance, that's recognizing the marginalization of refugees. So if we have more partnerships between non-governmental organizations, the government, to create an environment that's inclusive, that's digitally inclusive of refugees, it becomes better. Secondly, providing digital skills trainings and support programs tailored to the needs of refugees. Because refugees have language barriers, you have economical situations. We need to tailor trainings and programs that are specifically from them, that specifically cater for the situations they face as refugees. And then we have improving access to digital devices and the internet so the refugee community is not marginalized. Like I was saying, most refugee camps are centered in areas where there's no internet access. There is need for internet access in those areas. There is need for, and maybe we say when we partner with non-governmental organizations, civil societies, community-based organizations, we maybe say we donate or we create an internet hub or a digital hub that allows connection with digital devices and the internet as well. Then we have integrating digital inclusion initiatives into broader refugee integration and employment program. We are now integrating digital inclusive initiatives like ADIA does. All right, accessing digital exclusion for incarcerated individuals. Well, of the three that I was given, I feel like incarcerated individuals are the most excluded when it comes to digital devices, internet, information and communication, ICT technologies. All right. So my first point was incarcerated individuals first limited to no access to digital devices and the internet. Most incarcerated individuals are not allowed to access internet. They are not allowed to have digital devices. There's no what do you call those digital hubs where they are allowed to maybe access a computer, a laptop, or something like that. Then in some countries, the prices of basic digital services and content are exorbitant. They are too expensive for someone who is incarcerated. So then they say this is luxury. Then there is lack of digital skill trainings and programs to help incarcerated individuals learn basic digital skills. People think that if you're incarcerated, there's no need for us to teach you or to train you digital skills, or there is no need for us to program trainings that are meant for incarcerated individuals as far as digital skills is concerned. Can I have the next slide, please? State of digital divide for ASL communities in Africa. All right, I just know what those are. Let me try to what do you call this? To define what ASLs are, because I didn't define it there, unfortunately. Please forgive me. All right, so ASL stands for arid and semi-arid lands. These are communities in Africa that face significant digital exclusion and challenges in accessing digital technologies and the internet. All right, so my first point was lack of reliable electricity, cellular networks, and broadband internet connectivity in rural settings. Rural areas, there's no electricity. I don't know in other countries, but Zimbabwean rural areas, there's no electricity. For my rural area, I'll give an example of my rural area. There's no network. You have to climb the mountain for you to be able to access network. And that network doesn't allow you to access the internet. It only allows you to make calls because it's hard. All right. Then we have affordability barriers. we have affordability barriers. So, most individuals that live in those areas, in those semi-arid and arid lands, already face serious economical challenges. So they then cannot they then cannot afford certain devices. I'll give an example of Zimbabwe. Most of the individuals in the rural settings of Zimbabwe use those, I don't know, I'm trying to convert the word from Shona to English, because in Shona we say tumbudzi, which means those phones that do not allow that do not have internet access, that are just for calling. Yeah, that are just for making calls and sending text. Then we have digital literacy gaps. There's serious digital literacy gaps where they say they don't know certain things. They don't know how to use the internet. They don't know how to a simple thing, they don't know how to Google. That's the simplest thing that I can say. Then we have social economic disparities. We are talking of they cannot afford, they cannot the economic status in those areas is very bad, which means that they become marginalized and digitally divided. Next slide, please. My phone is really running low. All right. Benefits of digital inclusion for refugees, incarcerated individuals, arid and semi-arid lands, communities. So I placed two for each to make this as fast as possible. The first ones are for the refugees. We say increased access to essential services. Well, now we are saying when we
Internet seems a challenge. I don't know what is happening.
Sorry, I had received another call. I'm back.
Yeah, please. I don't. Yeah, time is also very much gone, but it's okay. Please can just go ahead and review.
Have I already surpassed my 15 minutes? All right. So I was saying increased access to essential services. The next point was increased economic opportunities. Now we're saying if they have access to LinkedIn, they have access to Twitter, they have it's now X, sorry, they have access to X, they have access to Instagram, they have access to Can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me, guys?
Yes, we can get you clearly, please. You can review because time is all. You've taken over 30 minutes. Yeah? Please go ahead.
It's already 10 minutes. Sorry. All right. So this is my last slide, anyways. All right. Now we talk of the second one was incarcerated individuals. We have continued education. So we are now saying even when you are incarcerated, you have access to education digitally. You can continue with your education, your learning digitally. Then we have smoother reintegration. We are now saying when you're released from prison, you can now easily get back into the economy, into the socio-economic system. You can now easily find a job because already we are living in a digital era. So yeah. And then lastly was arid and semi-arid lands. We're saying enhanced economic opportunities. We have this is the same point as the first one from the refugees, so I want to explain it. Then quick and better response to emergencies and environmental disasters. We are saying I'll give an example of the Zimbabwe. We recently had in 2022, if I'm getting the dates right, we had a cyclone Idai. So we are now saying in case of a cyclone Idai, these people can now can be informed of a coming cyclone earlier via social media, and then they can prepare for it. Thank you. What was my next slide? Do I have one? Oh, thank you very much. I think that's all for my presentation. Thank you very much, and I'm sorry for taking most of your time. I thought this would be 10 minutes. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you so much. Amazing, amazing, amazing indeed. Another wonderful presentation. I think today you've seen us doing a lot of presentations, just getting to know different digital inclusion context from different communities, people of same common interests, social structures, and all that. It's very important for us to get to know that all these things we're presenting is not just to be presented here, but to give us a clear model of how best we're going to be integrating. I want to give Mr. Fasola a chance because we are done the disability session, inclusion session. But now being that they have joined, I want to give them one minute to make a comment regarding for us. Mr. Fasola and Mr. Miro Michael in 1 minute, kindly, because we are done the session. Then from there, we go to our last panel discussion, that is the southern part of the continent there. So I don't know if I'm just going to give Mr. Fasola an opportunity to share in 1 minute the review of what he saw that topic. Then I'm also sharing an attendance list just in a short while. So make sure that you fill it out so that we're able to be on Tom. So Mr. Fasola, if you are there, please unmute and share something regarding what you had in your mind regarding that. 1 minute, kindly. Mr. Fasola, are you there?
Yeah, hello, good afternoon. Oh, and good evening to other people from the other part of the continent. I don't know if you can hear me. Okay?
Yeah, we can get you, please. We can get you in 1 minute. Just review what you prepared for us because we are done the disability session, but I don't want you to join and then go without acknowledging your presence. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. Let me first of all tender the apology for joining late. I think it was a network issue, number one. And secondly, I was moving from the north central region of the country to the southwestern region of the country. And this caused the delay or the reason why I joined late. And let me just quickly put you through that in Nigeria, we talk of digital transformation, and the government has launched multi-pronged digital transformation effort to improve productivity across the sector through technology. In 3 million technical talent program and the broadband alliance initiative form the basis of the country's digital transformation. And you know, we have digital rights in our country, and the digital right comprises of rights that are implicated in our access and use of various technologies. It also necessitates the condition of what commensurate obligation that are on states and other actors to protect this right to online security. I think we have recently, we have our president a few years back. He was able to give us a new digital ministers, and it is a very young person and very active person in ICT. And the man has been really trying and give us the 4 main areas of digital transformation, which can be embedded into development of the country and the African continent entirely. And these main areas of digital transformation. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we just want you to review in 1 minute, kindly, because we are in another session. I don't know if I did just say 1 minute.
Oh, sorry. I think we talk of business model, process transformation, and domain transformation, and many more. But let me quickly say one thing, that digital inclusion is one of the major components in the world gradually that we can use to empower the people living with disabilities. And it's only that I have just a minute to say this. I will have buttressed this more to let everyone understand that. But I'm very sorry for this late presentation. By God's grace, if we have any other opportunity, I'll be able to do more. Thank you.
Thank you. It's well noted. So also seen a lot of questions coming in the chat box. I don't know if you can attend to them all, but we're going to attend to them as we finish up the conference. So also I want to give Mr. Michael Miro to at least make 1 or 2 comments also. I'm also sharing the attendance list as we usher the new panel discussion. Miro, are you there? Michael? Okay, it seems Michael is not there. I wanted to give him a chance to share one or two because he had difficulty also to connect earlier then. But Miss Eve Kibari had given us a very good, like, it was a very powerful session anyway. Yeah.
Victor, I'm here.
Yeah, please, you want to do a 1 minute talk on what you prepared because you are like you even done 30 seconds is gone already.
Okay. Hi everyone. Sorry, I found it very hard to connect, but I wanted to share. I will also share with you the slide this evening so that everyone can look at it. But what I wanted to share is the issue of social inclusion, where we look at disability having quite a number of components. And the main factor here is to look at the human being as a whole, and we leave the impairment. So we've seen that in social inclusion, we emphasize the importance of looking at the potential and the character of a person, and then we handle that as it comes. So we've seen that quite a number of persons, for example, persons with intellectual disability, have been left out because the software that is used to help their brain catch up with the day-to-day well-being is very expensive, so which really affects the digital world and inclusion. The same applies to persons with visual impairment, where also most especially those that are in rural communities and have limited access to education, use of these gadgets like computers and other TikTok or devices are very hard and expensive to access. So this leaves out quite a number of persons with disability not being part of it. The other area also I wanted to look at is the issue of persons with hearing impairment. As you'll bear with me or take up with me, persons with visual deafness are one of the largest group that has been left out totally when it comes to digital inclusion, simply because the language is not universal. And so these gadgets at times to understand and transcribe becomes a hard thing. So all in all, as we're looking out for digital inclusion, we need to be very mindful of the issue that affect individual persons with disability and we don't generalize disability as entire concept, but to look at individual needs, impairment, and then we handle that. And then also we look at digital inclusion as a human right, that is a right for everyone to access it, but it's not a favor that because you have an impairment, that's why you are getting it. So that is my submission. Sorry, I was unable to connect because of the internet.
Okay, thank you so much. That is Miro Michael from Uganda, a very, very vibrant, powerful, and impactful person with is in the social inclusion sector. I believe that with the power they're bringing into this space of digital influence, social inclusion, it's going to be more important for us to grow higher and higher to make sure that we're able to do impact. So thank you so much, Miro. Thank you so much, Fasola. If you have a presentation also, Fasola, kindly go and share it with us. We're going to be sharing it all to the entire participants of this event. So today you've really had new terms. I don't know if you're getting a new term: digital poverty, digital marginalization, digital inclusion policies, social inclusion, a lot of new terminology. I don't know if you can just note one, just go and do a research on one, at least you get a way to grow yourself and get away. So without much talking, I think time is, yesterday we had to postpone to 6:30. Yeah, 6:30. We had to extend to 30 minutes due to the vibrant nature of the conversation. But I want us to keep to this, that we're going to be doing a 20-minute discussion again. Then from there, we're going to be ending the call. With Anissa is going to be closing for us this conference in an official way. So before that, I want to welcome the last panel discussion, which is, as you can see, the topic here is digital inclusion and regional integration of Southern Africa, and which means we are bringing South Africa, Lesotho, Swaziland, Mozambique, Malawi, Namibia, Zambia, yeah, Madagascar also there, Mauritius. We have 11 countries in the Southern African part of Africa. And now if you are here, we're going to be talking about them. So as much as we have Collins from South Africa, Prince Dlamini from Zimbabwe, Vera from Zambia, and Jacqueline from Malawi, they're all from the southern part of Africa. They're going to be sharing these important conversations. So I just want to give it to Jacqueline because I think you are the host. I don't know if I did tell you this, right? You didn't know about this, but I think you can just give us an overview of it. I don't know if you are there, Jacqueline. You can pick it up, introduce yourself, then pass it to the next speaker to introduce himself or herself. Then we continue. Jacqueline, please take it over.
Okay, thank you so much, Victor. So good evening. My name is Jacqueline Gijide. I'm from Malawi, a digital inclusion practitioner as well as the programs officer for ladder to learning. Please, Collins, you can also introduce yourself, and then we'll go to Princess, and we'll finish with Vela.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Collins Mazepe. I'm a creative artist, an award-winning writer, and a social change agent from South Africa. Thank you.
Princess, if you can hear us, please introduce yourself.
Princess, I don't know if you can get us. Let me reach out to her, please.
All right, as we wait for Princess, Vela, if you're around, please introduce yourself as well.
Hello, everyone. My name is Vera Mwasinga, and I am from Zambia. I am a digital freelancer and a connector for Digital Africa in Zambia and Southern region of Africa. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. So these are the panelists that we are having this afternoon or evening. So we'll be talking more about digital inclusion and regional integration on Southern Africa. So just to start, maybe what's your rating on the regional integration through economic and social activities, more especially in line with digital inclusion? Let's start with Vela.
Sorry, just repeat that.
All right. I'm asking about the rating which you can give more special on regional integration through economic and social activities in line with digital inclusion.
Okay, so I would think to improve digital access and digital inclusion in Southern region, we should probably start with the youth, help them to move from being consumers especially and of tech, and make them become more of creators, innovators, and leaders. We can take examples from regions like South Africa that are booming in the fintech field, and also take examples from places like India that have cheap data resources.
Thank you so much, Vela, for that insight. And let's also hear from Collins. What's your take on the rating on the regional integration through economic and social activities in line with digital inclusion?
Oh, thank you so much for the question. Economic and social and digital inclusion in Southern African region is crucial for promoting economic growth, reducing poverty, and improving living standards. And to achieve this, there are several strategies that can be implemented, including developing of digital infrastructure, investing in digital infrastructure such as internet connectivity, mobile networks, and data centers to ensure widespread access to digital technologies. And I'm also passionate about promoting digital literacy, encouraging digital financial inclusion, implementing policies and regulations that support financial inclusion, and fostering innovation and entrepreneurship. Yeah, thank you.
Amazing. That's amazing, Collins. I don't know, Victor, is Princess allowed, or we just move with the discussion?
Princess I think is coming in shortly. I think that is what I know. Yeah, she is. I think she is. Africa One Identity. I think she is here already, so she can just go. I don't know if she's. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. All right, so as we continue with our discussion, I just want to welcome Princess. If you can hear us, you're welcome to the panel discussion, and we're discussing about digital inclusion and regional integration of Southern Africa. Now, my next question to you, Collins, it's about current programs. Do you have any current programs at the national or regional level that can be feasible, more especially in South Africa? I know South Africa is doing well in digital inclusion in tech, but I just want to know if there are some current programs at national or regional level that can be feasible.
Yes, there are several projects, but one that I was part of and that I know much of, it is the Fakugesi African Digital Innovation Festival at Wits University. And at the Wits University, they also launched the first AI center just a week ago.
Okay, amazing. And to Vela, what about Zambia? Do we have current programs at the national, regional level that can also be feasible?
Yes, we can talk of public sector working with private sector. We have government having signed a contract with Elon Musk's Starlink to give us a license to operate Starlight connectivity satellite program, which enables faster internet access. Then we also have government rolling out more mobile towers infrastructures in rural areas, which enable greater access to digital service, mobile services in the rural areas. And also, we also have institutions like the Zambia Digital Transformation Strategy, which is a policy that is already doing, for instance, putting in place a policy that helps drive digital inclusion.
All right,
Thank you.
Vera, I heard you talked about extending to the remote area, which is the rural in particular. Why is it important that the government of Zambia has chosen to go into the rural areas as far as digital inclusion is concerned?
Well, basically to enable more people to be included in digital access, and also to enable things like entrepreneurship to spring up, because now the way we are moving forward, the future is through digital access. You need to be connected digitally to do your entrepreneurship, to work, to do many things. So that's basically the reason behind that.
Amazing. I like the aspect when you said the future is digital. Indeed, the future is digital. We can't talk about the future and then we leave out the digital inclusion. All right, and that comes to my next question, and this one goes to Princess. I just want to know the culture and social status of communities and response to the technology, more especially in Zimbabwe. What's the current state? Princess, if you can hear me.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. It's a pleasure to be on this platform. I'm very grateful to be part of Africa Digital Inclusion Alliance and the conference today. May I please hear your question again?
All right, no problem. I was asking about the culture and the social status of communities, and in response to the technology, what's the state of it, more especially in Zimbabwe?
Okay. Now that you mentioned Zimbabwe, I would like to answer you on SA perspective or SADC perspective, because most of my time I'm actually in South Africa more than in Zim, right? So when it comes to response to technology, just recently I saw statistics that were done by a company called Melt Water Research. They specialize in checking or following up on how many people are on internet. They say 45.34 million people are using internet. That is like 74.7% of the population, and 26 million are on social media. And according to their percentage, they say 195% of South African population is on social media, right? I mean, on internet, right? So that shows that there is great response when it comes to internet or digitalization. That will be pretty much the same as how people are reacting to internet as well in Zim. But I think the question more is, are people using the internet for the benefit of their communities or self-development? Is the digitalization being used for the purpose of growth, or is it more on the negative side of things?
All right, yeah, I can hear you.
Yes.
Continue, please.
Yes. So that saying, here things are a little different, to a point that in rural people have connection, unlike in Zim, where my sister mentioned that it could be difficult for people to have internet connection in Zim. This side, people have internet connection. But when it comes to youth and women, the question is, are they aware that they can enhance themselves, they can upskill themselves using internet? Because if you give someone a phone, the first thing they would think of is social media. It could be Facebook, Twitter, X, Instagram. And then you could wonder to yourself, do people understand, have we embraced enough the idea of digitalization to the advantage of our continent, for positive development of our continent, or we are using digital access to actually deteriorate our own continent of Africa?
All right, thank you so much, Princess. And that made me to think through, because I was attending a certain symposium about technology, and one of the participants said most of the times the social media platforms are the ones that other youth in different continents have used to develop themselves. But the question now is, are we doing the same as Africans, or we just get excited about being on WhatsApp, TikTok, do dances that they do not, by the end of the day, give any productivity? So I was just echoing to your words that you've asked in minutes ago, to say, are we utilizing these platforms for our own productivity, or maybe we are just there for social status? So thank you so much for those wonderful insights from you. And Collins, I just have this question. What about the key variables and opportunity in the regions that can accelerate digital inclusion? What are they? Do you have them, or do you have any specific key variables and opportunity that as a region, as Africa, we can use and accelerate in digital inclusion?
Okay. Thank you so much. Yeah, we do have we do have key available opportunities of digital inclusion in the South African region. Like job creation, digital inclusion can lead to the creation of new job opportunities in the tech sector, contributing to economic growth and development. And also e-commerce. Digital inclusion can facilitate e-commerce, enabling businesses to reach new customers and markets and promoting economic growth. And again, digital inclusion can promote the regional integration, enabling the free flow of goods, services, and ideas across borders. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. So what could be done to make sure that when it comes to e-commerce, job opportunities, we are including all people in the space? Because most of the times when we talk about maybe job opportunities, digital inclusion, we just talk about maybe the majority of people, but we leave those people who are having difficulties, like maybe in healing, those people that are having disabilities. So what could be done to make sure that we are including all people when it comes to digital inclusion and region integration, more especially in our Southern Africa region? Vera Mwasinga.
So I think what we need to do is make devices and things like data more affordable, and also increase regulatory harmonization. Then also we have to look at cybersecurity so that we're able to build trust between people and companies who are offering digital services, especially when it comes to fintech services. You find that people do not want their information to be used for the wrong purposes, such as hacking and all those things. So I think these are my 3 main points on what should be done to improve and enable digital access to go further. Thank you
so much. Thank you so much, Vela. And Princess, do you have any addition to the question that Vela has just responded to?
I think if I am to add anything on this topic, I would say digitalization. Africa has knowledge which is quite advanced for us to be able to be as good as every other, if I can say, third world. We can be very much advanced, but I think most of the time we have not yet understood the need for us to equip ourselves on a positive with positive attitude when it comes to things like internet. We are still using internet for, if not 80% of our time, things that are not developing us as a continent, and instead things that are quite negative for us. And if we can also be able to reach out to empower the women, because women are the first teachers of communities, societies. If we can reach out to empower women, because they are the ones that groom, let's even babies, up until they are independent. If we can teach women in the rurals to be able to have access to digital intelligence, it will make a huge difference. By the time we have people developing into being youths, they know a bit of value of what they are trying to achieve in the continent, the positions. They know that they are future leaders, and what they need to do is to use digital intelligence in a more positive and productive manner. I think what we lack most is the productive side of using our digital intelligence in Africa. Even if we say today we want to profile our cultures and traditions, the first thing the elders will think of, we know these people, what they are doing on internet, and this is going to corrupt our culture or traditions. So if we can first change the attitude or the way we are behaving on the internet to the advantage of our economy as a continent, we can go further, or if not advance our continent for the better. Thank you.
You're welcome. I loved the aspect whereby you touched about including women in this space of digital inclusion. And that also made me to think about maybe incorporating a policy, digital inclusion in our government primary schools, so that we should also reach out to younger ones, because the future that we're talking about today is not about us, but the generation that is about to take over. So it's also good to make sure that we are including digital literacy or digital skills and tech in our primary curriculum, so that when they grow, they should know exactly what they are supposed to do, and also maybe come up with other innovative ideas on how we can integrate these things in our region. And I think a wrap-up question, this will go to each panelist, and I'll just give each one a minute, maybe for you to talk more about challenges and recommendations to drive digital inclusion in the region. What can we do? I mean, what can you say about the challenges and the recommendations, more especially to drive digital inclusion in our region? So let's give it to Collins, and then we'll go to Vela, and we finish with Princess. Collins?
Okay,
Are you
I'm
there?
here.
Okay,
Yes,
thank
I'm
you.
here. Yes, thank you so much. Okay, the challenges and recommendations for digital inclusion in Southern African region. Okay, just a minute.
All right.
Can we move to another one and you come back to me? I'm just having.
Yeah, for sure. Vela,
Thank
you can take over.
Yeah, so probably we need to look at the barriers to connectivity. You know, example, limited infrastructure. We need to increase infrastructure from just being in urban areas to being in rural areas as well. As we touched on earlier, we also need to make internet services more affordable, not only for people who are in urban areas, but especially for those in rural areas and those who are not able to, those who are underserved. Then we also need to also increase digital literacy. And with that done, I think we can move in a positive direction to increasing digital access, especially in Southern Africa, where many communities are still underserved. Thank you.
You're welcome, Vera. That's amazing. That's amazing. And let's also have a take from Princess.
Hello, can I take over?
Please, you can.
Okay.
Is Princess there? I don't know if she's did get you.
Okay, let me start with the challenges. Our challenges is the digital divide, limited access to digital technologies, internet connectivity, and digital literacy skills in rural areas. And number two is cultural barriers, language barriers and cultural differences, and limited representation of African cultures in digital media. And the other one that I'm passionate about is the infrastructure, including limited internet connectivity, mobile network coverage, and digital devices. And the recommendations is digital storytelling platforms. So we must develop digital storytelling platforms that showcase African cultures, traditions, and histories. And number two, it's cultural exchange programs. Let's establish cultural exchange programs that bring together digital storytellers, artists, and cultural practitioners from across Southern Africa and the continent at large. Yeah, let me stop there.
Thank you so much, Collins. So I hope Princess is not allowed. Victor,
Yes,
is she
hello.
allowed, or I can just continue?
Princess is around. I can see her here. I don't know if you're able to talk kindly. Princess.
Oh yes, okay. Thank you. I think I agree with our brother who just mentioned that we need to do cultural exchange programs so that we are able to expand digitalization in Africa. And also, I think it's very important that people are trained at an early age to use internet for the rightful purposes. You know, if digitalization expands into the rural, even if when it comes to farming, people know how to check the weather, how to plan for the season, and how even things like treating animals and treating the soil, because they will be able to research those things on the internet. For us to have favorable policies with the leaders or our government, sometimes it's a matter of us proving beyond that we are not using digitalization for toxicity of the societies, because sometimes it becomes a fear for policies to be put into action because of probably the way the researchers or the information is going to the governing board of what people are using the internet for. So I keep on sticking to the point of us being able to first change the mindset of our communities and people and youth to use digitalization to the positive of our economy as a continent. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Princess. And that comes to our final point for our discussion. And a quick summary, we're talking about the digital inclusion and regional integration on Southern Africa, where we talked about engaging the youth, women, as well as children in the space. At the same time, also we touched about initiatives like enrolling the programs in the rural areas, also introducing e-commerces to our people in our nations, and at the same time also making sure that we are using the digital space for productivity. And some of the opportunities that we can use through the digital inclusion is about e-commerce, job opportunities, school itself, and also maybe getting to know each other, right? Networking. And on the challenges, we have points infrastructures, expensive data, and sometimes knowledge gap. And of course, we should also have exchange programs whereby people can learn about the language. They can also learn about the culture of other regions. And also, that was just a summary to what we've talked about. Many thanks to Collins Matsepo from South Africa, Princess Dramin from Zimbabwe, and Vela Mwasinga from Zambia for contributing to this panel discussion. It has been successful because you showed up. And thank you so much. Over to you, Victor.
Wow, thank you so much. Wonderful. Can do an emoji clap, please. This has been a very wonderful session here. I personally learned a lot, not just from the point of Southern Africa, but now generally about Africa. And I think the way Princess has really reiterated the concept of digital productivity from the digital toxic nature of how we use the internet is very important. The mindset, the approach, the know-how, the people need to know how best we're going to be integrating. Now here, Mr. Collins being about the issue of e-commerce, job creation, and all that is very powerful. I also read a lot of foundational concept in terms of the digital literacy is very, very critical for us to put in place, and also putting the right affordability and also the infrastructure component of our work. So thank you so much, Jacqueline, for hosting these precious and very powerful people on this session here. And I believe this is one of the most important areas that we need to put in consideration, because digital inclusion is cutting across everybody, everybody in the society needs digital inclusion. So we are an agent of not just a section of people, but for everybody to feel part of us and be able to give them the best tool of empowering them to make sure that they're able to be productive, resilient, and able to meet their personal and remain fulfilled in their own endeavors. But really thank you so much for the great session. So without much talking and all that, I think we've really covered a lot. Yeah, a lot in this conference. I think I cannot really talk so much, just to be grateful for every speaker, for every person who took time to attend the conference from the day one to this end. In fact, I just want to give anybody who has an opportunity to share in 1 minute what has stood out for you in the 2-day session we were having of this conference. What have you learned? I want a voice, no, just a text now. If you can share with us anything that you learned, please raise up your hand or just unmute directly and go ahead to speak as we wrap up, as I give up this going to Anissa to close for us. Yes, please go ahead, unmute and go ahead.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Michael.
Thank you, Victor. And I want to reiterate just our gratitude for all of the speakers giving their time.
I wanted Michael to go first, then you're going to close for us. I don't know if that is okay with you.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, there's somebody who has raised their hand here. Then from there, we're going to close it overally, just to make sure, because I don't want to be able to speak after you after this. I don't know. Michael, please go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Vero Michael. Sorry, I was unable to share, but I want to thank Victor for the minute that he gave me to share my opinion, and I will share my slides. However, yesterday, I liked the fact of research and digital inclusion. I think we need to really open up. Yesterday, I had quite a lot of learning from quite a number of presenters, but what stood out is the issue of evidence-based research now on digital inclusion. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. That is very critical. Research is very foundational to everything we do in life. So as much as this concept might be digital inclusion, digital equity might be very new, we need a lot of research in this area to pertain us to some results that we want to get there. Any comments again? Okay, I also just want to recognize some of my team members who have been very, very constructive to make sure that we're able to reach this far. Thank you so much to Mr. Patrick Okot. You've been very supportive towards this conference for day one. I think we've been talking a lot in terms of planning right from the year began. Same to Anissa, you've been very, very supportive in everything that we've been doing. I just want to give a thank you note to people who have assisted me towards making sure the conference is come to really. We also have Jemima. Thank you so much. I think you are here. Isaac, thank you so much. You've been so amazing as a team. We've been really working together, both in Uganda and in Kenya, just to push all these concepts together. All the speakers today, from Fasola to Jacqueline to Michael to Shishe, who made a very good presentation yesterday. In fact, I was to give you just a chance to say, because you can't be here for the whole session, then you don't even speak. I don't know if you're able to just unmute and say hi from Ethiopia. Then from there, you help me pass it to Anissa to close for us. But every speaker, every presenter, Princess, thank you so much for taking your time to really share a lot of them. Lambera, thank you so much. I'm really, I don't even know how to start thanking people on all these things that we've achieved. The conference is amazing. We're going to try to bring every session, we're going to upload every recording here on the YouTube channel. You can go again, listen to it. We're going to also share the recording links. Take time, really hear through everything. It's going to gear, even personally, I'm going to take before I do any other things, I'm going to take time, hear the education from the start to the end. So I'm going to build myself so that I'm ready for next year. And before I pass it on again, next year we have so many programs, both to build capacity for this area. Just to highlight a few, we have 4 programs that we are going to be pushing the link by 5th of December. If you can apply of any of it, it's going to be one is going to be digital equity promoters. Is a model of training that is going to be taking place all through the next year session. We're also going to be having educators for digital inclusion explore program. This is going to be specifically for those who love education and in the digital education space. We're also going to be having digital inclusion leadership training program for tertiary students in the universities and colleges. So this is also going to be for the university students. So the moment you see the link, please apply to where you need to be. Then also the 4th one where we are going to be having is for the digital influence for businesses. And we're going to be building capacity for a 6-month session with them, are able to create digital marketing strategies and all that. So those 4 programs are going to be coming in December. But next year, there's a lot of other programs coming up from both physically there. Also next year, one of the events I can say that we're going to be having Africa Digital Nation Conference. And I think the preparation is already on physically Nairobi. So we are going to be planning a lot of work here to see that by next year, if you're attendee here, you're a speaker here, we're able to host you here in Nairobi, Kenya. This is for the physical. First, the second edition has to be physical. It's going to be very good. So we pray that as we plan everything, you be the first people to help us push the agenda in different parts of the country so that we're able to have the same nature of event here in Nairobi in 2025. Also, we're going to be having the Africa Disability Digital Inclusion Summit in Zambia, Lusaka, in June. So I know we're going to be updating our team also in this area because we talked about disability just on a very small scale. But I know we have people like Michael who have already formed the committee for the Disability Summit, the Africa Disability Digital Inclusion Summit in Zambia next year. So among all those programs, what you have to expect earlier one is the 4 programs. You can choose one to apply there. That by next year, we're starting the capacity building probably by February, and then all through the house, whether online, monthly online sessions, and then we're going to be having also other programs coming along. So I want to really thank everybody. Anticipate a lot from Africa Digital Inclusion Alliance. Anticipate a lot from Africa Digital Alliance, and you're going to be giving us an opportunity to grow and grow and grow and grow. So without any much ado, I want to give one of our to say oh yeah, but there's also an invite. I'm just sorry for that interruption. Princess, together with Africa Digital Inclusion Alliance to the Africa One Identity. Next year, there's going to be a forum or a digital conference, yeah, in Botswana, yeah, around July 28th. So that also we're going to be coming with a clear update on how best we can going to be following up on that. There's a lot of events, a lot of programs to build your capacity to this area. There's a lot of initiatives that are going to be helping us to push and push and push to see that digital inclusion is not just something that we talk about. Please, this is practical. As ADI, we've taken over 2 to 3 years of just creating a strategy roadmap that will allow us, because even if you're doing this first edition, it's not just theory. There are practical areas that we're going to be working on, policies, skill development, technical support area, marginalized communities inclusion, and all these areas. So with the team coming together, with you coming together there, I know we're going to do a lot for our continent and your community and your families, because the way you react with digital inclusion, the way Dr. Margarita said that you first, where you are is where you start. You don't start from Kenya if you're in Zambia or you're in Uganda, yeah? You start from where you're in your family there. There is where you start advocacy, yeah? Anyway, thank you so much. I'm going to give Shisha, if you're there, please say hi. Then I just welcome Anissa to complete everything for us.
Hello everyone. Thank you so much. I'm very grateful to take part in this impactful conference as a panelist. And it was actually a session or a kind of conference that I have learned a lot. And I think this is the way that we can sow the seed to create an impact at the grassroots and even in the academia and in any endeavors that we are engaging, especially in the digital inclusion aspect. So I think we shall keep the momentum, and the organizers, you were special. This is for the first time, but it seems that you have already living with such events for ages. So thumbs up to you all, and my appreciation to organizers. Anissa, your contributions was so immense as well. Victor, everyone was a champion, and the contributors and the panelists especially, and all the participants. I think it was great. That's why we remain attended. We could have been doing a number of tasks that we have, but it's because of it's an impactful, timely, and very meaningful conference that we all engaged to this level. And I think we shall all keep the momentum. Africa will rise and shine, and if we work in such a way. So my appreciation and thank you so much, and grateful. And it was great opportunity for me as an emerging young scholar as well to engage in such Africa oriented and in such a great conference. Mom, thank you. Over to you, Vic.
Thank you so much. I'm really grateful for everybody. Isaac, I don't know if you're saying hi also, please. I can't just do without you saying hi at least. I don't know if Isaac is here. Isaac, yes, please. You have to say a word, just a thank you note also. It's very important. I don't know. Isaac, are you there? Isaac Balwana?
Yes, Victor.
Yes, you have to say just a thank you note. It's very important because we've been with you in this journey for some time. But I don't know if your environment is not very noisy. I think you can stop it there. Then welcome Anissa to take it over now. Anissa, please go ahead.
Okay. Well, thank you everybody for joining, from the speakers to the participants. On behalf of the Global Research Network and as a board member of the Africa Digital Inclusion Alliance, I want to thank Victor especially for his foresight and organization in organizing not only this event, but having a grand overarching vision for what digital equity should look like in Africa. We've covered so many topics today, but I think the groundwork that has been laid out for us is that we are in this together. Digital inclusion, in order to reach digital inclusion, reach digital equity, it's going to take all of us working together in the fields of policy, research, as well as practitioners. So there is space for everyone. As Victor said, there's going to be many other events that are going to be occurring. Please do watch the spaces on LinkedIn and Instagram and Facebook for the Africa Digital Inclusion Alliance, as well as the Global Research Network. Shishe, Faidat, and Dr. Margaretti are three fellows that are part of the Africa Digital Equity and Innovation Program, and they will soon be seeing the outputs from those fellows. There's 9 of them. So again, thank you so much for joining. This is our inaugural conference that is community-centered and community-based, which makes it very special and innovative. And just let's close out with a round of applause for Victor and everyone who organized this conference.
I don't know if they're clapping behind the scenes, but it's well. I think that is over. So I think this is done well. So I think, Nisa, you completed talking?
Yes.
I don't know if Samson is there. I tell you could have finished with the anthem. If the anthem is not there, we need to pray. Prayer is very critical for us. I don't know if the Jemima, you did pray for us yesterday. You can close again today. Yeah. Jemima, are you there? Jemima? Okay, I don't know if anybody is able to, because I always love to pray from both ends, from both the Muslim side and the Christian side. Yeah, it's very important always. This
I can't pray of the Jemima is not here.
Okay.
side, if
Let's
there's
humble
not there.
ourselves as we pray.
Okay.
Heavenly Father, the God above all gods, we come before you to give glory back unto you. For the wisdom you have granted unto us, we bless your name. We pray that Africa will never remain the same. For the innovation and the creative information that have been passed unto us, we trust and believe in you that we shall work in hand to bring Africa into a new change. It is a time of creating change in Africa that you have purposed and destined for it. In the mighty name of Jesus, I pray.
Amen. Thank you so much, Annette. Thank you so much. That has been powerful.
Amen.
Yeah,
Okay,
no,
can we pray in Islamic
Fasola,
way?
please go ahead. Fasola, please go ahead. Thank you.
Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we adore him, we glorify him, we honor him for giving us this opportunity to gather globally throughout our continent to have one or two discussions about the development of our nation, of our country, of our continent. We ask Almighty Irresistible to please guide us and every one of us till we are going to meet physically in those plan and arrangements the organizer had for us, maybe in Zambia, in any other part of the continent. May Allah spare our life. May Allah let us meet in peace, not in pieces. Thank you.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much. These have been very powerful indeed also. So thank you so much, everybody. I'm really, really grateful for wonderful, powerful, engageful, impactful. I don't know the names. I can say it until every tomorrow. Yeah. Okay. Bye-bye. And thank you so much, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, team.
Bye-bye.
Well done.
Bye.
Your certificates. Yeah, certificates to be ready in 1 week, please. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
So much. Great Nigeria.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you very
Great
much.
Nigeria.
Bye-bye.
Oh, thank you. I can see you there.
Bye-bye.
Thank
God
you.
bless
Bye-bye. God bless
Also,
Africa. Thank you. Bye-bye.
means of payment of money for the certificate.
Oh, yeah. We're going to be giving information on that, please, through the group.
Okay. Thank you.